Hello, are you there? I'm not sure what happened. Can you hear me? Let me know because I froze. Are we on? Am I live? Let me know. Let me know. Howdy. So you can't hear me. Hi there. Hi everyone. I don't know what happened. My connection froze. Okay, good. Hi, healed heart. How are you? Well, I don't know what happened just now, but something froze up. I played my beginning, and it froze on my end. I'm not real sure why, but maybe a little technical. We have that sometimes. So everybody can hear me. Thank you for joining, and I want to thank anybody who's joining on Twitch and Facebook. All right. So thank you very much. I'm going to greet you all. I want to jump right in, and I'm going to have Girl Code come on too. So I'm going to send her a link. But today, let me just tell you, I want this to be a free, flowing discussion. I know that, maybe you can't be heard right directly, but I'm reading your comments. Okay, so don't worry, please let me know what you're thinking, because it's going to be important, because many of you live in cities that I have identified. So I've just identified about 23 cities, 22 in the US, and one international city, just for a bonus. Okay, so I let you know from the script that it'll be Moscow. So Moscow, Russia will be an international city I want to talk about. Okay, so if you've ever visited Moscow or ever wanted to travel to Moscow, if you have studied Russian, history, anything like that, you'll be a real asset to me. And please chime in. And even if you wanted to, let me have my notes here. I'm going to send Girl Code the link, and she's going to join in because I want her to chime in about Boston, her city. So if you live in one of these cities, please fill in the chatmosphere, okay? Because I want this to be, edifying for all of us. Okay, so I'm going to send her this code. Okay, so hang on a minute. As you can see, the various cities, and I will send her this code real quick. All right, let's see. So how has everybody been doing? Are you feeling well? Feeling encouraged? Let me know what is good with you. I want this to be a nice live stream, because this is something that I think is needed. It's needed for me in the sense of I've had to break myself of some of these notions. I'll say some of these idols, and idolatry is a sneaky thing, as you know. It doesn't always appear to be idolatry, and sometimes we defend it. I know I have defended some of my idols and why I've had them. And now I repent of that. I repent of having idols, and repent, I know, might come off a little bit too preachy, too churchy. Hey there. Okay, I just sent her that link. Thanks for being patient. Hello, Professor Jennifer. That's so funny to hear Professor. I love it. Okay, let me turn my ringer off. You don't want to be that person, okay, in class that has the ringer go off. Okay, so CWS. Hello, Professor Jen, and the awesome, yes, Chatmosphere family, ready to learn new insights on this subject and to be challenged. Good. I'm glad you're willing to be challenged, because we live in challenging times, don't we? We're thankful to God for you and many blessings. Oh, thank you so much. You're the first one in, so thanks for that. So when I see Girl Code come on, she's going to join, and we'll have a nice discussion. If you want a link, if you want to share some things, I've invited you before. Nobody takes me up on the offer. I don't know what to think. But if you want to add, if you have like a story or something like that, we're just going to hang out. Okay, we're going to be like the gamers. They don't worry about how much time they hang out. This is night school. We are in crazy times, right? And the rules have changed. So we do it different. Okay, so I have just put a lot of the cities here, and I want to talk about cities. And the reason I want to talk about cities is that cities are things that, like, when I say idolize, I really enjoyed city living. Have you been that way? Like, you really love cities, you live in cities right now. Hey, Victoria. And Molly is here. Hello. Oh, you're so sweet. Love you. Yeah, so are you a city person? Let me know. Hey, Candace and Jack, thank you. Oh, you're so sweet, Candace. How you doing? Leave an apple. I love apples. Oh my gosh. Apples are great. T. Witten, hello. So anybody out here an urban dweller, a big city person? I know some of you are. I already know some of you live in the biggest cities in the world, actually. Cone-shaped pineal. Oh, you mean the shape of the Tower of Babel? Yeah, Sean, how you doing? Anybody here in a big city? In a big city, let me know. Good, you heard me. Uh, let's see. Tina's here. Hey, Tina, how are ya? Johnny Borealis, good. Yay. Oh, I'm seeing your messages from earlier. Hi, Alicia. Thank you. Sherry. Very good. Courtney, hello. Mary. Any big city dwellers here? Nancy from Alabama. Hey, Ernestina. Hello. Thanks for joining. Hi there, Renee. Two cities in Tennessee I'm going to cover. Oh, okay. So you're a Tennessee person. Aurora. Hello. Pray from California. Pray for the USA. Yes, indeed. All right. So hello, Elisa. Chicago. Oh, good. So Mary, we had to cover Chicago. Or as my mother calls it, I want to see who has paid attention to all of my chit chat. What does my mother call that city? Mama Orico's here. You are so disappointed, Bernadette says, in New York City. It's dead here. Oh, so Bernadette, you're in New York City also. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Anybody know what my mom calls that city in Illinois? Illinois? You were born and raised in New York City. Wow. Had no idea. I knew you were a small town lake girl. I didn't think you were in the big city. You're smart on that lake. Very nice. Oh, Brooklyn. The Lynn is in the house. I didn't know that, Johnny. Look at that. All this time. You live half time in Salt Lake City. Oh, good. You'll be able to chime in on Salt Lake City. Hello, 420 Wild Dragon. How you doing? Thanks for coming by, hanging out. You lived in St. Augustine and Jacksonville and also Asheville. Oh, okay. Yeah. How about that? Yes, Teresita knows Philadelphia. We're going to cover our John, Philadelphia. Hey, Sue, you're a small town girl. Okay. Victoria Green is in Albuquerque. I didn't cover any cities in New Mexico. But you know what? You all have sort of like that. I think of those areas as not being like those huge cities, But I should have covered something in your area of the woods, as they say. Karen, yes, me representing New York also, right? Hello, Wyoming chick. You all have nice, calm kind of city towns, maybe you call them. Sandy, sorry. You're in Orlando. You lived in Orlando a few years. Glad to be back in a small town. Oh yeah, I think a lot of people. You're Niagara Falls, Canada. Oh yeah, Canada. Hello, Aaron. Thanks for joining over there in Canada. That's right. Molly knows. My mother calls it Chicago. Molly, you really and Lisa. Chicago. That's what my mother calls it. Thank you. See, we've been Tina knows too, Chicago. I have to. Tam even knows. Oh my God, you guys, you really do listen to my crazy stories. My mom is so cute. You would totally love her, right? You would excuse her using Chicago. And I tell you, when she says it, I have to, you have to just say, don't correct her. Just get on with it. It's okay. And you don't want to act like like one of those people who always corrects everybody, right? You have to chill. I really do have to chill a lot because I am kind of like that. I don't know. You pay attention. Chicago. It's the cutest thing, I'm telling you. So you lived in St. Louis now. Okay. Oh, you were in St. Louis. Ooh. Okay. So so this is what I'm gonna do. I haven't really made this real formal like some of my other presentations because I want to kind of talk off the top of my head. Not that I don't do that anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Hello, James Breeze. Hello from Queenie and Wake Woke 2020. Hello. Oh, thank you for joining. Bless you. I love your work. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Yes, PH Joy Chicago. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, this is what I want to do. I will begin this presentation. I'm waiting for Girl Code to maybe swing in, but you know what? She's probably waiting for her city to pop up. So let's just start, okay? But she'll drop by. She'll drop on in, okay? Hello, Lori. Hello, hello. All right. So this is what I'm gonna do. Just advance here. I want to ask you, have you watched this video? It's just a little review here. Hello, Libby. Woohoo, you're here. Thank you for joining. So this is the last upload I did. I came across a picture, and Tina understands. Now that you get into the mud, you look at everything. My goodness, I would have probably just, I don't know, I might have looked at it weird if I were in the Ukraine in this cathedral, whatever it is here. I may have looked at this strange and thought something was off. But I was doing some research and came across this picture of this statue, artifact, whatever you want to call it. It's inside one of those very beautiful structures in Russia. Okay, and this right here just made me. I stopped and I started looking and I said, something's really strange about this picture. Okay. And you said that damn globe, right? That damn wooden globe. Okay. I'm sorry. This stopped me and I created a whole video. This picture literally gave me enough information to do a video. It was content. Okay. So you can see how really it got under my feathers. Okay. Now this is why. If anybody missed the video before this here made me go on a little, I don't know. What do you want to, like, I went down the rabbit hole just looking at it because I don't know what the proportions are because, the architecture of this older era, it's huge, right? And I figure these are very tall statues, but I don't know what the material would be called for these, right? Yeah, they're giants looking at a ball. Isn't it bizarre, Bernadette? Like, am I making too big of a deal out of it? Tell me if you think I am, because I just said, wait a minute, these statues are some kind of like metal. And then the globe is like wooden to me. It looks wooden. I had to even blow it up and say the materials don't match. That little globe looks like, Libby, doesn't it look like, did you ever have like I'm sure you did, Libby, like I did. You had doll houses. Did you ever have a wooden dollhouse and you got little furniture for the dollhouse? This is what this reminded me of. Somebody said, "Oh, I've got the perfect thing. My kid has the dollhouse she used to play with, and yeah, let's just put that right there, and they will never, never know, right?" It's pewter, Sandy says. I don't know, Sandy. It could be pewter, but this thing just really just made me go on a little tangent. Okay, so right heeled heart. I Are you like me? Do you make a big deal out of things? Because I sure do. Hey, Phil, not Bill. I like saying that. Hi, Jennifer. That globe needs to go into the fireplace. It totally does, right? Johnny, right? Isn't that ridiculous? That globe. Your sister had a dollhouse. Oh, you were more into climbing trees. I did both. I wanted to climb trees and play with dollhouses, but it just looks like somebody that worked at the museum said, I have the perfect thing. I don't know what was in the place of it, but I even looked at, like you look at the little place where it is and it looks like something might have been there. Like it looks dusty right there in some kind of weird way. And I said, that's why I'm saying it's really hard to lie, isn't it? Because liars really are not good sometimes with all the details. They're just not good, right, Bernadette? They don't work out all those details. So I just said, NASA sent it over. It was a gift from NASA, right? So I said, what was there? If you all could help me, let's find out if we could figure this out. Okay, we'll do a family investigation. It's in the Ukraine. Okay, no, it's in Uzbekistan. Okay, it's in Uzbekistan. I looked at the person who took the picture. It was like uploaded by I forget, a Canon camera. It has the whole thing. Okay, but it doesn't have anything else like names of artists that did the sculpture. But I'm not going to belabor this, but I just want to say that it made me go on a little bit of a, you can watch the video and see for yourself and say you're making a big deal out of nothing. Okay, so let's talk about cities. Let's get back to the subject at heart. So cities, we heard about ancient cities. And mainly the one that always comes up, it doesn't matter what faith you are, everybody knows about Babylon. Okay, everybody knows about Babylon, and it comes up in references. We know about it, right? You said Pottery Barn special. There you are. Yes, we are decoding. Yes, indeed, decoding our reality is fun. It is. Yes, it is. Okay, so hi, hello, how are you doing? Thanks for joining. Before there was QAnon, there was Quran. Oh, I like that. Hi there. Let's see, PH Joy, you said my gut instinct thinks there was a child sculpture there before. Really? Now that's interesting. Wow, we're gonna have to keep thinking on this one. Okay, so I think of cities, and I put a picture of Metropolis. How many people saw that movie? I watched it for research purposes. It was very odd, and I think it was a good movie for me to watch for research purposes, but I wouldn't it was a long movie. I wouldn't totally recommend it. But of course, the Tower of Babel explains a lot. And Nimrod is credited with being the first person who created a city. So, cities, we're going to really I want to know what you think about cities, especially now. I've changed the way I see them, and I want to see what you think. But Nimrod being the father of, you could say, urban design. I'll say that. Urban design, and the creator of the first city. And Nimrod, there are various, interpretations of Nimrod. I've heard that Nimrod, a lot of people believe he was a black guy. Okay, I don't know. I listen. The thing is, he wasn't a good dude. Can we agree on that? He wasn't a good dude. I don't know, like getting into what his race was and all that. Again, we're gonna have to get to a point where we understand what race really is. It's not what we've been taught. It really isn't. So I'm not really used to negrescence. Yeah, it keeps coming up, right, Molly? So yeah, a lot of people do think that. Hey, Jim, how are you? Tina's saying, I see Masonic symbolism in cities now that I used to never notice. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I see too. And it makes me wonder about a lot of things. So let's start with New York City. And New York City is the city of, I mean, you could say this is a chief city, right? New York City being called the gateway to the world. You can go anywhere, all points, anywhere from New York City. And you can just about get anything you want in New York City. Um, Fully, stocked with every kind of cultural, anything you want, any kind of experience. And it is the city that when things happen, especially like in our modern times, it's such a key city to understanding a lot. And so New York City for me, I'll just say, growing up in Philadelphia, I always looked to New York City with those like stars in my eyes. Like New York was just high energy. I've always enjoyed, the hustle and bustle. I like that kind of stuff. And other people may not have liked it, but especially when I was young, I really loved it. So my mother was the kind of mom, she was just so fun. I was like an only child. So she would just say, let's go up to New York and have lunch. So we would ride the Amtrak. We go to 30th Street Station. We'd ride the Amtrak up and have lunch and come back home to Philly, and that's how it was. If you're from Philadelphia, you're that close to New York City, and some people work in New York, so they go back and forth from Jersey to, I don't know how far down. They may even live in further places, but yeah. So New York is the city that never sleeps, right? It has such, this is the thing about cities. Cities are like, they're like brands. So it says that New York, this is from the 1625, right? The seal of New York, the flag of New York, the logo of New York. So it just starts to sound like a corporation, right? Because everything is an image, is a brand. So New York has its brand of being a city that, like I said, never sleeps. It's a city that people are tough. You can't get over on a New Yorker, right? They don't fall for the okie doke, right? You're in the Lower East Side. Okay. Yeah. So even the various parts of Manhattan have their own personalities, right? Karen is saying this city, New York City, has died. And that's what I grieve, Karen, because when I was working in 2020, when I went up, I noticed that the city was different. Of course, everything was shut down, so it was different. And I've never seen that city so quiet. I was walking down regular streets that would be very busy, and there was no cars. Like I could walk in the middle of those busy streets and no people, nobody early in the morning. And it was eerie. And I took pictures of my experience. I would walk, all around the city just to see a city like New York empty. And I could feel the fear. And that's something I have to tell you, New Yorkers, okay? I was really surprised because New Yorkers have always been really tough. I look at you all as tough. I'm not saying you're not tough, but I see that these people that do these social engineering things, they really focused on New York City. I can see now. Besides the people that have left New York, so it's a lot of New Yorkers that have moved away. They moved away prior to 2020, so they were getting a lot of people, true New Yorkers moving. And it's just been these psyops. I know that what happened in, I won't say the words so that, the words don't trigger the stuff, but what happened in 2001, the big event, I'll say. And I think that did a lot of harm to the New York heart, right? The spirit of the city, right? You're saying New York City could be Babylon. I mean, I'm sure people think that New York City is Babylon. Some people think that this entire nation is Babylon. I've heard that. And by the way, I know that we're at a point in our development that we don't get triggered. And I know that there was a time when I would have tiptoed around talking about cities only because a lot of us had been programmed to derive our identity from living in a city. And because of that city, you can't say anything bad about the city because people are so tied to a city and the whole image of living in that city. And, you'd have to contend with that kind of stuff. It's almost like a sports thing, like my city versus your city. And it's something that if we really thought about it, it doesn't make any sense because a lot of us, our origin has nothing to do with a city. Because I want to ask you all, why do you think these cities are what they are in terms of where they're located and their names, why they are even incorporated? Because as you can see, a lot of these seals and things like that, it'll talk about incorporations, and you'll see all these things that make it sound like, wow, it's like a big corporation, a business. So why would we derive our identity from saying I'm a New Yorker? And I'm not trying to step on toes because I was the same way. So I'm saying that a lot of this programming, I'm questioning it, and I'm challenging all of that stuff that I had. And I want that stuff to be purged from me because it has caused a lot of stumbling, I'll say, because it's hard to know who you are when these things are pushed at you. And then you take on I'm a New Yorker, I'm a this, I'm a that. And these places haven't been around, but especially here in the United States of the Americas, these cities are very young. So why would we want to tie ourselves to something so young and so really untried, right? So there have been some amazing feats of architecture, I would say, in the modern world. And I know that a lot of times, we're looking at old architecture and it's much more, interesting. But the new architecture, yeah, I mean, I've loved to look at skylines. How do you feel about skylines? Do you like skylines? A lot of people have a lot of pride. They take pride in their city, pride that they come from this amazing city, especially a New Yorker. That would give you a lot of like I've met so many New Yorkers, and then you could watch New Yorkers like I used to watch the red pill, blue pill twins. And, they got that whole like, yeah, we're Harlem, we're this, and they talk it's like a whole lingo, everything, and New York is like, they have their own culture, right? And so a lot of things happen in New York first. So it does build a pride because of these things. Madeline says Sex in the City show made it seem cool and fun. Thank you for bringing that up, Madeline, because Sex in the City has done more to give women, young women, and women my age like too, because they represent women from a gamut of ages. But that whole franchise, I see it as being very problematic. Sex in the City, and how it did make it made it fun and cool to just act like a, what did we say, a floozy, right? A Jezebel, right? And they just hold it up as something to do. Deanne says, I've lived in the DC area for 15 years, but so glad not to be there anymore. Yeah, right. Karen, what are you saying about New York? Facts, Jim. My slogan for the New York City used to be, if you're talking about my city, you better watch your mouth, right? I know, Karen. That's the thing. I would have friends in Philly who might have a cousin who lived, who was a New Yorker, and they would come to Philly for this, visit in the summer, like as if Philly was like somewhere to go in the summer. But you visit your cousins. So you got little corny cousins in Philadelphia. So they come to Philadelphia and they talk down to us. They're like, you guys don't know about this. You don't know. Oh, we've been doing this. And it's like, okay, you New Yorkers, you're way too cool for us in Philadelphia. We're like country, right? Compared to you, we will bow down to you, New Yorkers, and then they want to make you feel like they can like kill you, right? They're scary. So I'm just saying, like, everybody has their personalities in a city. Will Cordero, New York, Board Bay. So you're a New Yorker as well. Thanks for joining, Will. So yeah, don't talk about my town, right? And Philadelphia. Okay, for my Philly Johns, we're gonna have to talk about Philly a little bit. We're not gonna get to Philly yet, but boy, oh boy, my goodness. So New York has beautiful skyline. Yes, right. Oh, we have Mrs. Harris is here. Yes, so you'll be able to, we haven't gotten to Philly yet. Okay, you've not missed anything yet. So yeah, New York, it's amazing, right? Like I said, the city that never sleeps. And New York is one of those places, wow, the architecture, you look at the Brooklyn Bridge and the train stations and things like that. Everything is amazing, ornate, and just you can get any kind of food. Hey, Dollar Bill, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Nancy says, my daughters live in big cities and they think me and my husband are out of touch with reality because we live in a rural area. Yes, Nancy, that's what happens to our children. They are lured by the city, right? And this is no different. This is what I'm finding. Everything happens and it just rinses and repeats, right? So this is no different from the ancient world, the antediluvian world of the big cities then, Babylon, Nineveh. These are the kind of cities that were popping back then, right? So yeah, when people live in the cities, they look down, they start to, not that your kids are doing that, but I'm just saying other people, not your children, Nancy, but other people will look down on their country bumpkin kind of family members, right? You're supposed to be slow. But why do you want to be fast? What's going on? Why so fast? What are we rushing to, right? And we have to ask that question, right? True New York City is to stand for a stronger chance, not just what the false news says what New Yorkers are. True. And that was something, Will, when I was in New York, like I said, in 2020, I was surprised. I was like, come on, New Yorkers, come out of your apartments. Stop being afraid. I didn't like that a lot of people were afraid. When I would see them on the streets, when I did see them, they were all, masked up and their eyes had a lot of fear. I could just pick up, and I didn't have a mask on, but I would engage with them and, we would talk and they would, start with the fear narrative. And I was like, what has happened to this city? I could feel the fear. It was just crazy. Hi, Alice. Thanks for joining. You said Philly and their Johns. That's right. We're going to get to the Philly. It's enough Johns in here to back me up, but I'm going to step on some toes. Okay. So yeah, this stuff is not popular to talk about, but yeah, the big event that happened in New York, I really think that that's what changed the spirit of the city was what happened in 2001. That was a huge Oh my goodness. It was like the breaking of a spirit. It was such a, that was an international event. And, for people that lived in New York, I can't even imagine what those days were like, because me in Philadelphia, I was flipping out. That event literally, it threw me into a traumatic, like, I was in like a downward spiral when that event happened, because it triggered a lot of trauma for me, like a huge amount of trauma. So I can't imagine what it was like. And then now you've got this chick, and she's like, oh my goodness, they say the devil that you know is worse than the devil that you don't know. So I'm like, whoa, I don't know. Is there any solution in trying to vote away the crazy? Can you vote away the crazy? Somebody tell me. Can you vote away the crazy? Is that any way to solve our problems? Are we going to vote them away? Now, since we're talking about New York, I want to touch on a few little current events, right? You say we can't vote the crazy away, healed heart. Why do we think we can, though? I mean, we keep thinking we can vote the crazy away. I don't know. I am just needing to talk, fam. I really want you to talk to me about these things. I want to hear from you. You said fix the E's. I believe they cheat. Yeah, I mean, you had Tammany Hall. You had Tammany Hall in New York City going on from the inception of the city. It was nothing but mobsters doing mobster stuff, right? Putting their people in, and it was just little fiefdoms, like all the little fiefdoms. And that's what happens in the cities, right? Because that's what I want to talk about, the cities. What kind of principality would you say is over the city of New York? Before we go on, I want to just say, thinking of New York, who was a Howard Stern fan back in the day? Because I have to tell the truth. I hung out with a group of people that were into Howard Stern, right? So I was like, I didn't like him all the way, but some of the stuff was funny. It was very immature, very immature comedy. Anybody want to admit that they've listened to Howard Stern? You hated him? Never. Oh, you guys are very high-minded. Thank you. I'm glad to be in your company. Yes. You said pretty raunchy. Yes. Okay. He was very despicable. I'm not going to even try to mince words about it. Okay. So yeah, MJ, how you doing? Still can't. Yeah, you can't do Stern. He's a yuck for you, Elena. Okay, so Howard Stern, I want to bring him up because I'm talking about New York. I don't know if he's still in New York, right? He's now some kind of big some of it was funny, yeah. He may have moved. Does he still do his radio program out of New York? And this is why I bring him up in the New York part of this, because you had a crush on Robin. Shame on Robin, I want to say. Shame on Robin for being around so long. My goodness, and allowing that kind of behavior, right? So, anyway, Howard Stern was a real big mouth recently. He's been acting like a totalitarian, saying the most horrible things about, people that don't want the government telling them what to do with their body. So he's been just spouting off a lot, right? I guess his handlers told him he has to do it, right? So he was going in on Joe Rogan. So that's a big thing, right? Going in on Joe Rogan. And then he's got all this stuff in his background. He's got negrescence in his background, right? So he wants to be black, huh? He wants to have black face. So he's got all this in his background. He has these skits where he's in blackface, and they are so bad. If you look at that one in the corner, bottom corner there, he's got like a Colt 45, or no, Colt, yeah, 45, like a malt liquor beer. Then he has a picture of Aunt Jemima. Didn't we talk about Aunt Jemima a few live streams back, right? So he's got he's got it all. This is like the what would I want to call this? This is you're going to get your butt stomped. Uh this is the starter kit to you are going to get your butt stomped for this if you try this anywhere else, because he is so offensive here. He's got fried chicken, he has a beer and a picture of Aunt Jemima. Okay, so then he has, you can see the picture, he's got the boom box, right? And then he's got nappy headed wigs and, just blackface done. Like he wasn't even trying. He just smeared blackness all over his face. And he's disgusting. And, I just can't believe I ever listened to him. But yeah, Robin, and Robin would just laugh like a damn hyena, right? She's a stupid woman. And, these are the things that don't age well. As they say, it doesn't age well. And, for her to have been his sidekick for all these years, now it's all coming back. It's boomeranging. And that's where we are at that part of this system where they were phony from the start. So all of that is just crumbling because it was not built on anything good and true. So now he is having to dodge the cancel culture because all of these skits are all over now. If you look it up, you will see everybody, even the people that normally protect them, they are talking about this exactly. But you know what? I read a article that was in TMZ, and TMZ, I was so surprised. They were trying to protect the narrative. Okay, even TMZ is in on this stuff. I know you knew that, but it's so like it's like blaring now, where TMZ said, okay, well, Howard Stern apologized and so did Joe Rogan. So it's no big deal because Joe Rogan is more dangerous because he was talking about horse paste. So they're still trying to spin the scary virus narrative over the fact that this is like racism, but they don't want to cancel Howard Stern because he toes the other line for the science cult. So I guess he's going to make another deal with the devil so he doesn't get canceled. But I'm sorry, Howard Stern, you got some splaining to do. And whatever you're trying to splain, it ain't going to work because it's going to be hard to clean this one up. Oh, we're over at Philadelphia. I didn't know we were jumping to Philadelphia so fast. But anyway, Philadelphia, we're here. Philadelphia, my hometown. Oh my. This is one of the most hostile cities in America, and it actually gets officially named. I think it was a few years in a row that, there's some kind of rubric where they count cities in certain ways. They rate them, and Philadelphia has been rated as the most hostile city in America. This is the city that has booed Santa Claus off the field, off of a sports field, because Philadelphia takes their sports way, way, way too far. Okay. Sports is literally like religion in Philadelphia. Okay. So I know it's that way in a lot of cities, but I'm just talking about Philly. And, this is what I want to say about being honest about these cities. I was talking, I posted something maybe last year or so. Yeah, it was last year, I guess, when Joey Kins, Brandon was elected by a blue landslide. Remember that time, right? Wink, wink. Brandon, the one that 80 million of us wanted to be our leader in the free world. Remember that thing that happened? So Philadelphia had been pretty much involved in the shenanigans, like real bad. Okay, you're an Eagles fan. Yeah, Eagles Okay, I'm not talking about, I'm not going to say nothing bad about the Eagles because whoa, right? So yeah, so I was talking about the shenanigans that Philadelphia took part in when we duly elected 80 million of us wanted Brandon. We wanted him falling asleep and pooping on himself and everything else. We wanted a crackhead son. We wanted him, right? And the people have spoken. So, anyway, Philadelphia had done a whole lot of stuff. And I was just talking about how shameful it was. And I had a friend, okay, I'll say that loosely because I've learned that, whoa, the people that I thought I knew, whoa, they are, I, you know what, girl code, she helps me to understand what has happened to the people I thought I knew. She helps me understand it, right? It's called Philadelphia. Exactly, Teresita. I'm glad you're willing to tell the truth about our hometown. It's like Philadelphia. When you're flying into Philadelphia International Airport, we greet you with the smell of, what is that? Oil refinery. Okay. It smells like sulfur, like rotten eggs. So when you land in Philadelphia, welcome to Philly. Here's some rotten egg smell to make your stomach nauseated. So you can't even eat a cheesesteak when you get in town. You have to wait till you cool down your stomach, right? Yeah, so that's the thing. Philadelphia. This person got on me so bad because I said something against Philadelphia because they were involved in some things that weren't too cool. But I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut because it's your hometown. You're never supposed to air the dirty laundry of your hometown. Says who? Why are we like that? She was like, "Oh, how dare you, Jennifer, speak against Philadelphia?" I was like, "Hello, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not supposed to talk about Philadelphia because it's going to make other people think that they're going to get a bad impression of it." Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to give it a bad impression. Sure. Okay. Like, these people, I don't know what to do, but they are just not who I thought they were, right? So, anyway, this is what I mean. People will get mad at you for this kind of stuff. Shout out to my Philly cousins, right? Shout out to her Philly cousins. I consider Philly the like sixth borough of New York, right? Philadelphia, it it stands in the shadow of New York, okay? It thinks it's a big city like New York, but it really isn't, right? Philadelphia is a wannabe city. It's like your little sister that you have to take everywhere. Your mom says, "You better take Philly with you when you go to the mall." Yeah, that's Philadelphia in the shadow of New York City. Her prettier sister. But I don't know. She's not that pretty right now. She might have gotten a black eye from a few politicians she was dating. What? You think maybe? I think she's been beat up, right? Knocked up, beat up, everything by a few politicians that haven't treated New York so good. She's not aging well, right? Not aging well, New York. You're looking a little rough there, my girl. So Philadelphia is like the little bratty sister, right? So Philly thinks it's like a New York, okay? And you just kind of laugh when you think, a city's trying too hard. It's like, Philly, just calm down, okay? You're not New York, okay? Not even hardly. But speaking of New York again, let me just bring something up. We're going to talk about a couple of hussies, right? Philly and New York are a couple of hussies. They are the armpits. The numbers are going to go down. I told you, listen, we got to talk real. Don't get your identity all wound up in these cities, okay? Because we got to talk about the real things. Before going further into Philly, I want to ask you, what type of principality, because this is what I was thinking about, the principalities and thrones and dominions that are over cities. Because I was listening to, now I'm really loving the Midnight Ride with John Carrico. No, David Carrico and John Pounder. So I really love their approach to the times we live in. Really sound in information, sound research. Like, I love it. Okay. So I've just been, watching a lot of it while I, work on things and stuff. So they were talking about, I think it was them talking about principalities. And I thought about the principalities over these cities. So let me go back. Let's just think about New York. Help me to figure something out when it comes to New York. What type of, okay, when you think about it in the sense of an angel, a fallen angel, a watcher, this is a powerful angelic chief. Okay. And they call them kings. So when you have a king in the physical, you have a king in the spiritual to match, like as above, so below kind of stuff. Right. So if you have like a fallen angel assigned to a city, because this is pretty much the energy that they had from the ancient world. Every city had like a personality, had like a glory, because they did something great. They might have been the shipbuilders, or they were the merchants. They were the best merchants of silk, or they were, it was a lot of pride. They produced the most gold or diamonds or anything that was sought out, right? Or they were the warriors, right? So if you think of an entity that would be over New York, just imagine an entity that would be so prideful, like super prideful, and very materialistic, flashy, pretty much like the most popular, everybody respects this entity. And I just imagine what type of entity is over the city of New York. And it has to be something that would be so like, evil doesn't come ugly. Okay. And that's the thing that fools a lot of us. We think evil comes in an ugly package and it's like boo-hoo, like, to scare you. No, that's the deception of it. It comes in a beautiful package that looks like light and looks like all kinds of things, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm thinking in a spiritual sense about these thrones and dominions that are over these cities, and why did they choose these cities? And the personality of that entity is what you see in the city itself. The people, they get inspired by that entity's personality, because these entities have a personality. So they love, I can just imagine what New York would be. So when we pray, as many of us know, that we are not fighting flesh and blood. So when we are in our spiritual warfare, praying for a city like New York, you think of the power that is over that city. But then again, let's do the math, because we have 2/3 of the most powerful angels on our side. They have 1/3. And the thing about cities, God is not into cities. And I'm just saying that straight out. Now, if you find anything that I said wrong, tell me. I want you to correct me. Like I say, I always invite you to correct me, but I'm going to repeat what I said. I do not see God being into cities. This would not be his personality, because cities they represent pride, because look at the skylines of the cities, and they compete against each other. This is like a big competition, like a beauty competition, right? This is Miss America right here. And so they compete against each other for the best skyscrapers, the tallest skyscrapers. That goes on in the world realm. You know, it's always like, well, New York used to have the tallest this or the this or the that. Then it becomes what? Chicago now has the Sears Tower, the this. Then it becomes another city. Now what we're finding is the glory of the United States of the Americas. Now, this is what I mean. We have to be mature enough to listen and hear things that aren't going to sound like, I don't know what, it's not going to sound like what we really want to hear, but the glory of the Americas has shifted. And I don't think anybody would take issue with me saying that. It has shifted to the East. It has shifted to China. You know, it has shifted to India. It has shifted to, I would say, even many places over in the Arab countries, right? And yes, it's a spirit of pride, and pride is very powerful. And that's what I'm saying. It gets into the people, whatever the personality, it permeates. So, you know, New York is, I want to also say this, I want to share an experience real quick with you. I lived in New York for a little while, and I worked at Columbia University, you know, Barnard, and I had to have two jobs just to even like cut it there. And I went through a really bad experience. I was renting an apartment, right? I had a roommate, and I met her through church, everybody, through church. Okay. And it was a brownstone. So we lived on the fourth floor. And what happened was there was a deal where the guy, she was good friends with the guy who owned the place. He owned several places and bodegas and things like that. He was a Dominican man, and she was from South America. So all of a sudden she calls me because I had to work late a lot. And she calls me and tells me, like, we have to get out of the apartment because the city has condemned the building. Well, when I got there, she had been moving things out, and it was like this really strange thing going on. I was like, what is going on? And turns out, to make a long story short, this was a big scam. The guy who owned the place, he wanted to sell the entire unit, like the entire place, to like a European or Russian oligarch that, you know, these people are coming into New York buying up these brownstones, right? So she was in cahoots with the guy, and so he got us out of there and pretended that the city had condemned the building. He even had paperwork that he posted on the doors to make it look real and legit. So my boss, she was a former lawyer at the college that I worked at. And I told her about it, and she laughed at me. She said, your building wasn't condemned. The guy was probably, you know, he wanted to get everybody out so he could sell it. And she said, you could like sue the person, and you could get the keys back, or at least get the keys back and get back to your apartment, because that was not lawful what he did. But she said, I would be careful to take anything legal against the people, because that's how people wind up in the river right there. So it was like this veiled kind of, like, you know, not her threatening me, but she was letting me know that people have died for things like that. So it was like, wow, you know, it's not that serious, you know. And the girl that was my roommate, who I went to church with, I thought that she was a good person, but she was in cahoots with the guy. And she lied, like, it was horrible how she lied. And I went to the church to talk to the pastor, because I was like, maybe the pastor could sit down with both of us and like figure something out, because I didn't have a place to stay at that moment. Well, guess what? The church didn't do anything. In fact, the pastor chastised me. The pastor turned into a demon right before my eyes, and he chastised me. He said, well, who are you? Because I don't know you, And I was thinking, whoa, I have gone to Calvary Chapel churches for years. I was a faithful tither and all kinds of things. And for somebody to turn around and tell me they didn't know who I was, you could call all of the people that I knew in California, they could vouch for me, being a faithful, person in the church, and I was really like, that was so hurtful to know that a pastor would attack you. And he talked to me like I was a child. He said, just go sit down because service is about to start. And I was like, whoa. And you know what I did? I don't know. I went and sat down for a minute, and they started singing, and I just I thought about what had happened because I was so shocked. And that's part of like the church hurt and stuff like that. But I sat there and I couldn't even get into the music. I couldn't get into anything. I looked around and I looked at him. He was standing up there, and the way he had talked to me, and and all the people, like the assistant pastors, and these are all these people I used to go out to coffee with and stuff like that. They wouldn't even accept my phone call. They wouldn't even pick up the phone. And that let me know a lot about, little circles of people and how they protect each other. But if you can't depend on your church, especially if you live in a big city like New York, and you're going to church and you're trusting that you're around good people, and then that kind of stuff happens, it really soured me on a whole lot of stuff. I was ready to leave New York based on that. And, I just want to say, these are some of the things that happen in New York. It's a lot of things that go on with real estate. It's a lot of unfair practices. It's a lot of gentrification and a whole lot of evilness that goes on with people that have real estate in New York. And I'm gonna say this: that level of greed and all of those bad personality traits, that is what the entity that is over that city, that is what they are like times 1,000. That's how nasty that entity is. Okay, that prideful, greedy, cheating type of, 3-card Monty energy, all of that violence, all of that stuff. This is what the cities of our realm, this is what they have in common. And what I want to say also, that Tina mentioned in a comment, she says, I wonder what's under the cities. And so when we think about these cities, that's another thing to think about. What is underneath these cities? So going back to Philadelphia has this kind of underdog personality. Philadelphia is like the city where, you have this blue collar, it's like a blue collar mentality, and they're proud of it. There's nothing wrong with it. This is where the factories were located. And a lot of people moved up north to get jobs. So the cities were able to, the planners, the people that, started a lot of these cities, incorporated them, and how all this stuff started. They needed people, because if you studied the 1800s, let's just start there. It was a lot of weird things going on without getting into the details, but they needed to populate these cities, and they needed to get the industrial revolution popping. So they needed some slave laborers. Okay, they need laborers, just about slave labor, everybody. Okay, because there were children that were working in these factories. They were locking the doors, and a lot of fires were happening. You've heard all the stories. And they moved people, or they caused a migration from the south, and they moved up to Philadelphia. So that's why I'm saying and asking us, why do we have identities tied to these cities? Because we didn't originally live in these cities, right? We were more self-sustaining, because a city one thing about it, it takes away your ingenuity because you depend on the city for your sustenance. You depend on the water that the city is cleaning for you. You depend on the city to have roads for you. You depend on the city to educate your children. You depend on the city to provide all kinds of services, right? Protection. And what has that done for people? What has it done to the heart of men who are providers? God created men as providers, right? They feel good when they can provide for their families and protect their families. But when you live in these cities, they castrate men to a degree, especially cities up where we just traveled, like New York. They were locking up men for catcalling women on the streets. You know, a construction crew or something, and they're catcalling. I don't know, ladies. That doesn't really make me want to call the cops on a guy if he's whistling or giving you a compliment as you walk by. No, these women in New York is such a spirit of everything is politicized, and so these women had gotten legislation to lock up men. And you know which men it really affects, right? Without me saying it. Which men do you think really get affected by these kind of laws where, you know, oh, you looked at me, I don't feel comfortable on the train because you are spreading your legs. They even make a big deal in New York about men who sit on the subway seats, and if they spread their legs, which men do, just, you know, when you're just getting comfortable and you're sitting in the chair, you're spreading your legs. The women were even complaining about that the leg spread was rude, and it was like, you know, it hurt women. And so this is the thing that has happened in these cities. Men have been, as she says, Molly, demasculated. And in a city, yes, that's who it affects, Tina. Thank you. You always come through. Thank you. It affects Latin and Black men. Those were the men that were getting locked up as a result of these laws that they were enacting against catcalling, against leg spread, and all these stupid things, right? So they call it, oh, you've heard of it, Sandy? They call it man spreading. Do you see how men are so hated in this society? Man spreading. They literally came up with a term like that. So, you know, men that live in these cities, I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how you do it, because it is a constant bombardment with these people, and the cities are where they are energized with these this activism, this social justice stuff. This is where it really it comes alive in the cities. Am I lying? Let me know. Am I off base anywhere? Donna, Philly here. What a mess. One carjacking every 6 hours. There you are, Donna. Thank you for joining in. And I appreciate your honesty. You're right on the deal, reporting, right? On the scene. And that's the thing with right now. You can't gaslight us right now and tell us that the cities have any redeemable qualities. And that's what I want to ask you. I want to know realistically, how are we going to clean up these cities? Can we vote these problems away? Is it going to be voting that we're going to fix these cities? Are they fixable? Let's be honest. So you got Philadelphia, as you just heard, our sister just said, a carjacking every 6 hours. Okay. And it gets worse. And this is the city that brings us so much history that we could be proud of, right? But, you know, here's the skyline of Philadelphia, you know, It's humble, but Philadelphians, the Johns, they're very proud of their city. We finally got some skyscrapers because they didn't let anything get above Billy's hat, City Hall. Okay. So now they've got skyscrapers. You can't tell Philly anything. It's the little sister of New York. So it's like, look at me, New York. I've got skyscrapers now. Look at me. They're not very tall, but let's pretend they are. Okay. Let's pretend we're like a little baby New York, right? Karen is saying, I don't think New York can be redeemable. Trains have been truly taken over by the homeless. I've seen that. Did you send me that picture? I think you sent that picture. I was shocked. You guys, like, you will not believe what these pictures are showing. People are literally living on trains right now. Can you imagine that? It's like you can't imagine it until you see it. So you say taken over by the homeless, but you can't blame. Yeah, how are we going to blame the homeless? Like I'm so far past blaming the homeless. Like, when people have these answers for the homeless, they think, oh, we should open up psych wards again, like the asylums, like Byberry and stuff, right? Which is in outside of Philadelphia, right? Byberry, where they did all of those weird and cruel like treatments on people, right? So people think that that's the answer for these cities and their homelessness is to open up the insane asylums, because the people are insane. They're not just homeless, they're insane is what people think. So they should be in insane asylums. So they think we should warehouse people in these institutions. Now, where are you going to get money to bring these institutions back? Okay, say Brandon thought this was a good idea. I would just like wonder, where are we going to get money to resurrect the old insane asylums like Byberry? They've let these places rot and go into ruin. So where are you going to house the homeless people? I want to know, what is the answer to the homelessness problem? Not everybody who is homeless is insane. Do we agree on that? Not everybody who is homeless is insane. And I'm thinking that a lot more people have become homeless over the last 2 years. And they're probably doing the best they can somewhere because of these cities. How can you survive when we have something that happened in 2020 happen and people are in a city somewhere? I just want to know, what is the answer? Is it to vote? Because that is what, I don't know. That seems to be what we have been acting like, is that we can vote these problems away. We can vote in people and, we can get this stuff accomplished. So here's Philadelphia, some of the architecture, it's amazing. And then we have this. This is what we have. Okay. Philadelphia is on the map right now, not in a good way either. Philadelphia has one of the worst, if not the worst, problem with homelessness. And the homelessness is of the variety of drug addict and extreme drug addicts. These are people that are walking around like zombies. Okay. It's called Kensington, if you don't know. The Kensington section of Philadelphia. Yes, I'm talking about you, Philly. Whatever entity is over Philadelphia. This is an entity that loves filth. So this is the filthy demon. Okay, loves to see all these people zombified. They're zombified. People take videos just to laugh at these people. There was somebody who did a video, and there was like a Philly John. They were in the middle of the sidewalk, and the person was like this. They were just frozen like a statue. And they were just standing there, as you see this woman right here, just bent over. If you see them, they're stuck in that position. This is one of the most demoralizing things that has ever happened. You tell me another time that we have seen anything like this. Let's be real right now. Who is going to clean this up? How is it going to be cleaned up? Can I hear some ideas, please? Have you come up with an idea? Can you share it? Maybe Brandon might get this idea. Maybe him and Jen Psaki can circle back somewhere. Do you think they'll clean it up? Maybe Kamala might have a heart for this. Maybe she could start a committee and a root cause analysis, right? So we have this right here. And I have to say, if people want to harp on racism, this right here doesn't care about race. It doesn't. I see white women out there, and look at this black guy. He's all up in her face. It's a whole lot of interracialness going on down in Kensington, by the way. They don't care about race at all. They care about those needles going into their arms. That's what they care about. And they are living on these streets in these tents, and the police are all around. The police are hamstrung. They can't do anything. What are they going to do? I'm asking you, what are the Philadelphia police supposed to do about this? Oh, they're going to lock them up? So that'll be a favor. That'll be the best thing that they could have, is some like housing. So being locked up is not, that's not going to be bad for these people. So, but what crime are they committing? What crime are they really committing right now? Other than, drugs, right? But the city of Philadelphia is aren't they handing out clean needles? Fact check me, please. Because that's one of the things you see littered all over the pavement. You see needles everywhere. Needles, syringes. So has Brandon and his administration come up with any answers to this? I want to know, people. I want to know the churches in Philadelphia. I'm reaching out to you right now. I'm sending you a little open letter. If you have a church within, I'm going to say 5 miles of this right here, I want to know why you haven't been able to go down there with the power of the Holy Spirit of God and go down there and break these people of these demons that are possessing them. Why aren't you down there doing some ministry and getting people delivered? Why delivered, right? None of that going on, right? But you can go around Philadelphia, you got a church on every corner, right? In fact, you walk down Kensington, you got churches all up and down, incorporated churches. So how can a church be among this? How does that work? Can somebody tell me? The churches need to take the authority and cast out demons. Yeah, I've not seen that happen. And I see so many churches when I'm driving around these areas of Philadelphia. So many churches. So I just want to say that. Yeah. Look at that. How demoralizing and degrading to the human spirit to have to live like this. And yes, I'm not blaming them. I don't know. I right now, I'm not blaming them. Because you know what? I know one thing. When people told us the stories of how those drugs were coming out of Central America, and we were down there doing all this stuff, right? We were involved in Central and South America and everywhere else, Afghanistan, with the heroin. We got the pharmaceutical companies able to get away with fentanyl. We got fentanyl coming over from China. Yeah, I said it. I said it. And I want to know, how can we blame these people when they were set up for this? This is a setup. And whoever the spirit, whatever spirit, dominion, and throne that's over the city of Philadelphia is supposed to be called the city of brotherly love. What a slap in the face. A city of brotherly love. And you can watch your fellow brother man live like this. You could walk by them and you could be okay with it. How is that? How did we get to be people like this? How are we going to get back to any greatness? Because guess what? We can't forget about these things right here. We can't, because this is getting worse. You can ignore it for so long in your stadiums, with your sports, with your carnivals, your bread and your circuses. I was going around Philadelphia. Shame on you, men in Philadelphia, with your Eagles masks on. I was riding the subways and the buses just to see what is going on around here. And you had men, they'd have a full Eagles look. They'd have their Eagles stuff on and an Eagles mask on. I was done. I was like, I can't do it. He has an Eagles mask on. So people care more about their sports teams in these cities. Do you know how much money is generated from these stadiums? How much money do you think is generated from these stadiums? Your Eagles, go Eagles, go Eagles. And your Phillies games. Look at that. Oh my goodness. What do they pay the people that take care of the fields? I hear this good money in that. Maintaining the fields. Look how perfect and pristine. How much money do they get from these Eagles games? And where is that money going? How much money do they make off these Phillies games? And where is that money going? And a lot of times you got to walk past all these zombies on your way to your game. How does that feel? Are we that numb? We're over it. It doesn't matter. We don't care. Let's go to DC. Okay. We're hopping around. We're going to head to DC. Okay. So DC, tell me, is it redeemable? What are we going to do with DC? Any answers? I just want to know, because from the last time I checked, they're still evil down there in DC. They haven't stopped. So what's the answer for DC? The District of Columbia, named after a goddess. No big deal, right? You're just a conspiracy theorist to even bring it up. Named after an entity named Columbia. Okay, why? It's its own little country down there. How is that? How are we going to stop DC? How's that going to happen? Anybody got an answer to DC? I'm looking for answers. Answers. Anybody? Yeah, it's a foreign territory. How did that happen? Who let that happen? Huh? Who let that happen? What are the churches doing in DC? Are they doing things? Are they making things happen for the kingdom of God? Are they straightening some problems out? I want to know. So the people in DC, what do you think about the entity that's over DC? It's got to be pretty arrogant too, right? Like totally into power, right? This is, oops, I won't repeat that, but yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one that thinks that way. 1 minute, let me get a drink of water. I'm not going to be able to holler the whole time. Right? I'm going to rant and rave. Oh, yeah, you've got that same idea too, huh, T. Witten? I'm just make it a bird retreat. Like, yeah, birds. Yep. There you go. Yeah, so we got DC. I didn't have much to say about DC. It's really beyond words. Now let's go to Atlanta. You've got Atlanta. Atlanta has quickly become the Hollywood of the South, right? And they're proud of that. It's called the ATL, right? So this city has gone from a little, like, little southern kind of little town, okay? And you couldn't tell Atlanta anything after 1996, right? 1996, when they got the Olympics, that was everything. You know, your friend that they finally got the job of their dreams, and you can't, that's all you hear. That's all they talk about is that job. Well, that's Atlanta and the Olympics. They got the Olympics, and that's all. It was everything. So you got Atlanta, that was incorporated in 1865. It's very few people are native to Atlanta, really native. It's a lot of transplants. And you know what cities are like when you have transplants. They're very obnoxious. There's a lot of New Yorkers there. It's a lot of Chicago's. It's a lot of who else? It's a lot of everybody there. But the New Yorkers are really funny, okay? Because they come down there and they think, they think Southerners are slow, and they think that, they're better than everybody. I hate to say that, but New Yorkers, that's how you act when you move to Atlanta. You're putting it down because it's a slow little southern town. But the thing is like when you move to these other places, and this is a word to the wise, because a lot of people are moving. Don't bring your stuff to the new place, okay? Don't bring that dirt that you left behind. Come with something like, clean it. Just come with an empty suitcase, okay? How about that? Don't bring that whatever you're going away from. Don't bring it to the new place, right? California. Don't bring that crap to Texas and Florida. Don't think that you're going to do that crap that you had to run away from, and you want to turn that new place into that crap that you came from. What sense does that make? Does that make any sense? So you got Atlanta. What can we say about Atlanta? It's a joke. It's a joke. And it's terrible. It's a little Babylon. It's a horrible city. I hate going there. I hate going to Atlanta. Okay, it's disgusting to me. I used to love Atlanta. It's disgusting. Yeah, I said it, Atlanta. I don't like that city. It is very wicked, and it's a lot of arrogance and pride. They think that they're, hot Atlanta, landlocked. If something goes down, what are you going to do in Atlanta? It's landlocked. It wasn't meant to be built up this way. That's the thing about these cities. They can't handle this level of growth, right? They just can't. Driving through Atlanta is a joke. And the people there, they are very arrogant right now. They have taken on that Hollywood sort of mentality. Everybody's a producer. That crap when you meet people, they give you their card and they wrote on it that it's a card, somebody else's card, and they wrote on it, they're a businessman. Here's my card. I'm a producer. Everybody's a doggone producer in Atlanta. You know what? This is the thing about Atlanta. It's a lot of pretentiousness, and it's a lot of wickedness. I don't know another way to say it. It's a lot of wickedness going on in Atlanta. A lot of weird, twisted sexual perversion goes on in Atlanta. And they're proud of it, proud of this stuff. They really are. So this is a city that, is represented by the phoenix who rose up from the ashes, Atlanta. And like I said, when the Olympics came to Atlanta in 1996, this is when everything just, went haywire with the growth and people wanting to move and flock to Atlanta. It's known as the Black Mecca. So, a lot of Black people moving there, they thought they would get off the plane and they're going to hand you a set of keys to a Maserati. You're going to get a house, a McMansion, a degree from Morehouse or Spelman. We're just giving you everything right off the plane, right? Just come to Atlanta. Your dreams will come true. It's the chocolate Mecca. Well, turns out it's not. Far from it. And yes, they love their bread and circus. The pride of these stadiums. Let's talk about it. Nothing different from the ancient world. They're stadiums. This is like the Coliseum, right? It's the Coliseum. Hey, Sandra. Atlanta was a bad place before Hollywood got there. Now it's horrible. Yeah, it was bad before. It really was. But this just exacerbated it. And it is just beyond belief, Atlanta. You got the CDC there. It's like, what more do you need to hear? It's got the freaking CDC there. So that's Atlanta. It's got so many things in it. And so, like I said, you've got, and some of the scandals that you think about that have happened in cities, you had the Atlanta child murders that went on in the 80s with 70s. Yeah, 70s, part of the 80s too. So you had the Atlanta child murders. That was a very strange thing that happened. And I met an investigator who worked that particular time period, and he told me, and trigger warning to those who don't want to hear these things, but I just have to talk about it, okay? And you've probably heard this stuff, that when they found the children's bodies from the Atlanta child murders, their genitals were missing, the boys. They mainly took boys from the projects that were all around. See, they had housing projects that were like downtown. Can you imagine housing projects? They had Capitol Homes, which was by the Capitol. Can you imagine politicians that worked at the Capitol building? Because Atlanta used to be, well, I guess it's still the capital of Georgia. So a lot of, capital type of buildings and things like that are in Atlanta. So they had Capitol Homes, they had Grady Homes, which was named after Grady Hospital. If you know anything about Grady Hospital, it's a hospital that is an indigent hospital, and they call it Shady Grady, okay? Or they call it, what is another, like even rappers have rapped about Grady Hospital. But I tell you this, they have a wonderful trauma department. So they can save anybody, like just about, who's been in a trauma. I would say, don't go anywhere, go to Grady. And once you get stabilized, go somewhere else maybe. But, Grady is like a city and a world unto itself. Okay. They have really poor management. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, their board of directors are just notoriously criminal. They steal money. They're horrible people. They're very, like, lawlessness goes on with Grady Hospital. I could talk a long time about Grady Hospital. Okay. But, like I said, you have the Mercedes Benz. Look at this. It has an Oculus. Look at that at the top. And it brought a lot of pride because it says Mercedes Benz, something about that Mercedes symbol. Why does that bring so much pride to people? So you have your teams, Atlanta. How much money do you get for this stuff? My goodness. And then you have CNN, who is imploding right before our very eyes, right? They're losing. They've lost pretty much the narrative, right? But they'll still talk to a potato, right? If it's just a potato watching them, because they don't need ratings. They just get paid to push narrative around there. So they're, what's happening to all of them. You see what's happened to the Cuomo, and you see what's happened. And Cuomo wants to take everybody down. He's that guy that he's like, if I go down, everybody goes down. Okay. So he's the one that is starting the sort of tripwire, why they had the other guy step down who had the girlfriend, who worked at CNN. And, everybody knew about his girlfriend. They know all about this, but, Cuomo wants to bring everybody down. He's like spiteful like that. So Criminal News Network, there you are. They're absolute criminals. That's right. And they're guilty of crime. They really are. Lots of crime. And they have pretty much ruined everything in terms of media. And then you have Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams. Let's talk about her. I had former friends. I had a former friend. This is when your friends, like you were like, they were talking so crazy to you. This friend of mine actually asked me, because he didn't like that I wasn't supporting Kamala. And he was like, how could you not do that? You went to an HBCU. How could you not support Kamala? She's a Black woman, for God's sakes, And I told him, I don't care. You show me a Black woman that I'm supporting, because I don't see a Black woman when I look at Kamala. Show me where she's Black. Because I just saw a cooking show that she was on, and she was talking about Indian culture. And she was on the cooking show with an Indian woman, and they were talking about their Indian culture and how proud they were. And they were cooking Indian food. Okay. So I asked him to show me where the Black woman was so I can support her. And he didn't like that answer. And you know what he followed up with? Well, what would Stacey Abrams think of you? And I was like, I looked at my phone like, are you kidding me? What would Stacey Abrams think of me? When have I ever cared about that? Can someone tell me when I've ever cared about what Stacey Abrams would think? Look at this goober right now. She is finished. Put a fork in it. Put a harpoon in it. How about that? Put a harpoon in it. She's done. And she did it to herself. Here she is in pictures with children. This especially is disgusting. And if you're watching, you know who you are, who asked me, what would Kamala or what would this goober Stacey think of me? What do you think of Stacey? I'd love to know. You thought she was so fabulous. What do you think of her hypocrisy? Here she is with children, masked children. Put a harpoon in that thing. How dare this thing push mask mandates? And she doesn't have one. She needs a mask. That's one person who needs a mask, doggone it. Get her a mask. Put two on her. That's right. Look at this goober. Look at this goober. Put a harpoon in it. Put a big harpoon in it. Because you know what? There she is again. See, let me tell you about Stacey. She thought that these pictures were going to be scrubbed. Well, guess what, dum-dum? They're not scrubbed. You're done. Put a harpoon in yourself because you're disgusting. Anybody who harms children, and I do consider this harming children, is disgusting and unredeemable. That you could sit there with children with masks on and you can smile. You ugly piece of crap. I'm sorry, Jesus. I'm sorry. Can someone pray for me? Because I have to go past. Before I go past that, I'm sorry. The internet is forever. I'm so mad at her right now. Can you tell? Put 10 masks on her. I'm mad right now. Did you know? Could you tell a little bit? So yeah, so look at this. Somebody is selling Stacey Abrams mask on Etsy. Etsy is another site, out of New York, I think Brooklyn, right? Etsy, who has deplatformed a lot of patriots and Christians and people, deplatformed them so they couldn't make money during this time. But Stacey Abrams masks, they're selling them. Wow, that's not going to age well. I would like to know anybody who owns a Stacey Abrams mask. Wow, you must feel pretty bad, right? So here's Atlanta skyline. If you were to grade it, I'd say, yeah, I give it a C plus. Skyline, a C plus, right? It's nothing to write home about. Whatever. Been there, done that. Did you know that Atlanta had a fire? You know, a lot of these cities had these mysterious fires, right? These fires that you didn't notice, Jim? You didn't notice I was a little upset. I get a little heated with these kind of things. Rant. I'm gonna lose my voice. Let me take a little sip of aqua. Alex said he would wipe his butt with those masks. Well, you know the little lady that comes on. What is her name? The Asian lady who looks like a robot, straight up evil robot. What is her name? And Lena, isn't it Lena? Oh my God, that John came on TV and had the audacity to tell people that their cloth masks were nothing but decoration. She said facial decorations. When I tell you I wanted to just fall out, I said, OMG. She did not just say that. She said they were no better than a facial decoration. Did you hear that, woman? Oh my God, puppet face of the CP. Let me tell you something. If I had been all masked up for 2 years and that John said that on TV and I have lost all this oxygen, I'd have gone through the TV. Let me tell you, that was so disrespectful. And, you know, I'm going to tell you something about the people who, you know, fell out with us over these kind of things. I lost a lot of so-called Facebook friends, all that stupidity, because they don't want to hear another point of view. Now, I said from the very start that the things about masking children was nothing but abuse. That's child abuse. And I had dumb goobers come at me. Oh, how can you be a nurse and say that? Yeah, they can. Yeah, yes, she did say that. You should look it up, Lock for Life. You would not believe that she disrespected all the maskies. And she told them that their cloth masks were nothing but facial decorations. Am I lying? Did anybody hear her say that? She's a robot. She's an evil robot too, because she said it with a smirk. She said it like so condescending. And she tried to say, I've always said that. That's always been my position. That was like the most that's like the narcissist, you know, that tells you that you walked into their fist. That was like what she was doing. She's programmed rather very well. They programmed that robot. No emotions, no conscience. She just said that. And it was like Ari is here, everybody. Just switched off. Kwame Brown. I haven't heard from him. And your neighbor from Brunswick. Oh, you live in Brunswick. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Ari. Thank you. I like seeing you. Yes, I'm Nurse Ratched tonight, right? Oh my God, Aaron, right? Nurse Ratched. Yes. Ranting Nurse Ratched. So anyway, to get off of her and onto these fires, these mysterious fires in Atlanta. Okay. So they had a fire that supposedly happened. Well, it did happen in Atlanta. I just don't believe the reasons they claim the fire started, because back in, I'm going to say, what about 90s? I'm going to say somewhere in the 90s, there were a lot of mysterious fires in the Atlanta area, and they were around like where Spelman and Morehouse are. And they were They were literally burning houses up that little old black ladies were living in, right? They wanted to get the real estate. So all these really like mysterious fires were starting. So they have a thing about fires. And one day we're going to talk about that a little bit more, these fires, right? Oh, before I go on, does anybody know that Atlanta has underground Atlanta? So they literally do have an underground that they will show the public. It's like a, what do you call it? It's like a tourist attraction to go underground Atlanta. I don't know if they still do it. I used to go, all the time, and it was a big touristy thing. They have all these little shops and restaurants and, little food court. And they had a restaurant that was pretty famous, and it was called Dante's Down the Hatch, right? So a lot of really weird things, Atlanta, underground. So let's go to Miami. I don't have a lot to say about Miami. Anybody in the Miami area? Miami? This is like Little Cuba. Little Cuba. So Miami, where all the beautiful people live, right? This is where everybody's so perfect. It's kind of like, excuse me, I'm right here. I'm right here. Don't worry. It's like, it's the place where, you have to have a swimsuit body, perfect. And right, this is where all the best partying is done. And it pretty much it's a city that if you're not perfect body, you don't have a BBL, you don't you could hang it up like being happy in Miami, I think, unless you just want to hang with the retirees, okay? You don't want to compete with the nightclub beautiful scene, okay? So Ari, what are you saying? You're from Fort Lauderdale. Most rotten people ever in my so they're rotten, huh? More fake people, right? Yes, the cocoa comes in there. Yeah, the ports. So any city, and most of the cities, fact check me, most of the cities have ports. Isn't that interesting? Most cities have ports because cities are big merchant places. So ports, right? Ports to the world, right? And the cocoa comes through Miami, right? Remember Miami Vice? Remember Miami Vice? You have to be a plastic Barbie doll. Yes, they love the plastic Barbie dolls. Yeah, bring tons of money, right? Tons of money. You got a lot of New Yorkers. They call them snow bunnies. They come down. They have like, they have a high rise in Miami, to get away. People from Chicago, a lot of them. You called Miami Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, it's a lot. Remember Uncle Luke and all that nasty rap that came out of Miami? You got Tina or Trina. What's the chick's name? Trina. You got these nastiness, okay? I don't know what else to call it, just nastiness. What do you say? Miami is scary now. Used to be awesome in the early 2000s. So it's scary. Broward is way corrupt. I can only imagine. Trafficking, yeah. Ports to bring in children. Yep, there you go. And lots of drugs, lots of cocoa. So yeah, I just think of Miami Vice and all the, kind of pastels and stuff. So here's Miami, baby. Oh, you're living good in Miami. What kind of spirit would be over Miami? It would have to be one that is in a bikini, okay? So it's a demon that wears a bikini, okay? And a good tan, okay? So this demon here, you got to have a speedboat, baby. You got to have a real fast speedboat. Don Johnson. There you go, Don Johnson. There you are, Miami. So how you going to clean this place up? Anybody got any ideas? Does having a good governor, because I like what the governor's doing in Florida, but is he able to clean up Miami and all the issues? What's going to be the standard that makes a lot of us happy? When we say, now this isn't going to be popular, because I just have to get real, because I'm thinking about this stuff. But, when we think about making America great again, a lot of people took issue with that. They were like, oh, when has America been great? When ever has that ever happened? And, they, some people make a good point, right? 1 minute, I think I got to get a tissue. Hold on, I'm still here. Don't disappear. Don't disappear. Got to get up for a minute. Thank you for hanging on. I think I'm sweating, getting too hot, right? Kate is saying, beware of DeSantis, is your view. You don't trust him. Okay. That's what I like. We can all like have opinions here. I want to thank you all for being that mature, right? We don't have to agree on everything, but we can listen to each other, and just because you think that way, we're not putting anybody above God. We don't have any more idols. I don't, at least. I don't want to have any more idols. I have repented of my idols. I have allowed them to be pulled down from their pedestals. I don't want any new idols. I just want my Father. I want to repatriate to my Father's kingdom. Only him. He's above all. Abe, hello, and thank you for being here. Pray for Casey DeSantis. He is awesome. Please don't spread that lie. Pray for Casey. Who's Casey DeSantis? Tell me. Casey. Okay, so pray for Casey DeSantis, Aaron says, and don't spread that lie. Okay, so what I'm saying, Aaron, is I like what DeSantis is doing. Hey, JennyEason. That's right. No more idols. Everybody can get it. As they say, everybody can get it now. Okay. It's his wife. Pray for his wife, please. Hollywood is dead. I agree with that. Oh, his wife has cancer. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know a lot about him. I like what he did to stand up against the mandates. But what I'm asking is this: can a governor, one man who's trying to do, he's trying to do the best he can. He's done a good job standing against the government, the central government and their mandates, as far as I can say and see, I like what he was doing. He definitely attracted a lot of people to move to the state, which can be a good thing. So that's something that I like, that I saw. And let's see, DeSantis distanced himself from 45. Oh, really? I didn't know. See, I've been out of the loop with that. But my point is, can we put that on one man? He's the governor, right? So is he going to clean up the city of Miami? If we're talking about cities right now, and we have just identified some problems with Miami, you guys identify they have some pretty active ports that bring in some cocoa. They've got, and some other things, and they've got a lot of crime and just lawlessness and homelessness, I'm sure, and all kinds of things. So can we just think one guy is going to clean it up, right? That's not fair to put these kind of things on one person. And I'm just thinking, realistically, how is this stuff going to be cleaned up? Now, let's head on to Dallas right now. Dallas. So Dallas is a city that, again, I don't think was intended to be a big city. It doesn't have that kind of feel that they planned on such growth, right? So you have a lot of money. You have let me see, let me get my notes. You have a lot of ranchers, a lot of that kind of money in Dallas. And thing about Dallas, I want to say that I was disappointed in to learn. Did you all know that in Dallas, Texas, this city, you could get an abortion in your third trimester in Dallas? Yes, Dallas, right? One of the biggest Planned Parenthoods is in Dallas. So that's where people would go to get the the last, last trimester abortions done. So when we saw those things happening in their capital, right, for the abortion issue, just know that's not something that is known. I only learned this because I was working with a lot of pro-life groups, and I learned a lot about the abortion issue. And I was really, really sad to know that Dallas was the city that people traveled for such a, yeah, beyond evil, right, Emily? And that's where they would travel for. So, just to think that Dallas has that as one of their crimes, crime against humanity. Who's going to clean up these kind of things? Because one thing we have to be realistic about, we're not going to get a lot of people who are staunch believers in abortion, and especially they don't have a problem with late term abortion. How are they going to change their minds and ever want to repent, right? How is that going to happen? So we're always going to have people that love and celebrate abortion. So how is it going to ever come to a consensus about that issue? We look at it as, a lot of us here, I'm sure, we look at it as murder, murder of a human being, murder of a baby. And how are we going to ever convince the people that literally celebrate this stuff? How are you going to convince them of it? So my thing is, like, how are we ever going to solve these things like abortion? Because if we want this nation to be blessed, that is an issue that we are going to have to address, because the God that I serve is not happy. Okay. I just want to give that little heads up. My Abba, my father, is not happy. He's really not happy with this. He doesn't make concessions with things like abortion. It's no gray area, no wiggle room. He's not happy with 50 plus million babies murdered in the womb. Okay? He's not happy with it. So if he's not happy with it, how are we happy with it? How are we going to make anything great when 50 million plus babies are murdered in the womb? And we lay our heads on our pillow every night and we're okay with it. I'm saying in general, we're okay with it. Are we on our face crying out to God about it? Are we grieved, really vexed? Are we crying? Does it break our heart? Because it breaks his heart. That breaks his heart. I'm pretty sure he's okay with me saying that, speaking on his behalf. Abortion breaks his heart. So if it breaks his heart, does it break our heart? And if it breaks our heart, what have we done about it? Do we even think about it? Do we go a week without thinking about it? 50 million? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So how are we going to fix that, fam? See, we got a lot to talk about. So we have one of the most horrendous things that happened on the soil of Dallas, a city in the Americas. We had a United States president gunned down in broad daylight. Wow, America. That blood is on your hands too. And I'm not going into any theories about him being alive and surviving it. I'm talking about the narrative that literally traumatized the world. Okay? So if he didn't really get killed and there are theories that he might have survived it, it didn't matter because that Psyops still went out and harmed people. We have not gotten any resolution for the assassination of a United States president. On our grounds, we can't even say it happened abroad. It happened right in Dallas, the city of Dallas. Now, thank you, Kevin. So I wanted to get into those things. I don't know a lot about I could look up the parallels. I'll get into that at another time. But thank you, Kev. Dallas is on the 33rd parallel. Okay. And it was a satanic ritual. I see that now. And I wish I had a picture to show you, but I'm gonna show you a picture because I noticed something. And I was shocked because there were some pictures that came out about that day when the US president was assassinated, and the pictures are really interesting. So one day I'm going to work that in, and I'm going to see what you think about these pictures because it put a different spin on that event. But I see this as a ritual event. This is some kind of whatever, because right there in that area where he was assassinated, it says that that's where the very first Masonic lodge was built, or, where they commissioned the first lodge of Dallas. And it's a lot of weird things about that area, the grassy knoll. And this right here is supposed to be a tomb where they, it's just a strange thing. And there's a lot of darkness around that event. They have never thought enough of the American people, and I'll just say the international family of people as well. They've never had the respect to give a good answer and account for what happened that day, because what they've told us is really an insult to your intelligence, right? And then you have Hollywood movies reinforcing the narrative and all these books that are written, but we've never had any closure. We've never had justice for that event. And I want to say, as a nation, how is it that something so horrific can happen on our soil, right? And we never get any closure. And it's the same for New York City, what happened in that incident I brought up in 2001. Never a good answer, no justice, just a lot of, lies, right? So how is a nation going to be blessed that does stuff like that? So let's go to Houston. Yeah, Houston, we got a problem, right? So you've got the city of Houston, you've got a lot of money, oil money, things like that. This is their seal, this is their flag, their Capitol building. You could look at, I don't think that's the Capitol building. I'm wondering what that is. Anybody from Houston can tell me what this structure is here. But, Houston has NASA, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And, NASA, what can you say? I mean, they call that never a straight answer, NASA. So we've been lied and psyoped. And it's just, it feels bad once you start realizing the extent of lies and things that affect us in such a way, because this is where a lot of people get their cosmology. This is where they form their opinions, their theories about the world that we live in based on things that come out of NASA, right? So this is bad stuff. And this is Houston. And this was Houston, one of the biggest demonic rituals to ever happen involving young people was here at Astro World. We had Columbine, we had, other things happen, but young people are really the target for this evil, and they need our guidance, right? A lot of these young people, they went to this Astro World. They have no situational awareness. They don't realize when you should sense danger because they're in a false world, right? They don't know. They play games all the time. They don't know how to look around and see, and the things that were happening, they didn't think enough to leave. Some did, though. Some did, but not enough. And it's sad. And this is their skyline. It's okay.
for Skylines. And, they had the flood. And, what is the name of the pastor who didn't even want to open the doors of the church to help people that were flooded? And this is the kind of stuff we see with these big churches, the coldness, as it says in the Bible. Many of the hearts of man, it'll grow cold, and we're seeing a coldness. And yeah, that pastor, he didn't care about the people in his city. He cares about taking their money, right? But not to help them. I'm sure if somebody said, "Hey, pastor, I have a donation here for you," he would have opened the doors to get a donation. He would have shut it right behind you, though. Yeah, Joel Osteen, who's popular with people like Little Kim. Anytime Little Kim reads your books and loves you, I don't know. Maybe I'm being mean, but like a lot of people loved him from the entertainment world because he doesn't do anything to challenge you about the way you're living. He is somebody you could feel good about. You could be doing anything, kicking puppies, and somebody like Joel Osteen will say, "Oh, it's okay. You probably didn't mean it," right? Yeah. He would make you feel good about anything bad you were doing. He wouldn't tell you you were doing wrong. He only wants money. And when you start telling people that they're doing wrong, then the numbers of your church attendance goes down, right? Which means your tithes and offerings and love gifts, that's going to go down too, right? So they give messages that tickle the ears and make people feel good about their lawlessness. So Boston, I guess girl code, where is my sis? I want her to go in on Boston. One thing I'll say about Boston that I know of is it's a very expensive city. You've got a lot of big brain people. So whatever the spirit over that city would be, a spirit of kind of arrogance and pride with intellect. So you have MIT, you have Harvard. These are all the big brain people, and it's notoriously very just liberal in terms of lawless. Like you could do anything and it's okay. Everything goes. Boston has a reputation for being racist. And I've been to Boston and I didn't feel very welcomed. I was like, I don't know. Maybe you got some explaining to do, Boston, about being racist. That's kind of like the word on the street is you got a lot of nasty racism going on there. Racisms, as Salty says. So wait, Boston was established in 1630. So here's Boston's skyline. It's okay, right? The American skylines are they're kind of sad, family. They don't look so great anymore, right? Right. It's okay. I mean, when you look at these skylines over in these eastern countries, they're blowing us away. And that was the plan, everybody. The plan was to take the glory away from America and move it east anyway. So that's what you're seeing, sad little skylines. You got your bread and circus, your sports have to keep going. Got your museums, and everybody's riding a little city bike. That's the weird thing about the cities, right? They do these weird little things, and they get people into these things. So that's the thing now, is to rent a bike on your phone. You like have an app and you get a little bike and you ride around the city. And you trust those people in those cars, and you're riding these little bikes around with people texting and watching YouTube videos while they're driving, but you're on a bike in the city of Boston. What is wrong with you, goober? Are you crazy? So we have Baltimore. I don't know what to say about Baltimore. It just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like it's there, right? Baltimore. What are you going to say? In Philadelphia, we have Baltimore Avenue. It goes straight into Baltimore. You could stay on Baltimore Avenue and go right from Philadelphia right to Baltimore. I don't know why you would do that. Maybe for some crab cakes or something. That's the only thing I think of Baltimore. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just think of crab cakes. You make good crab cakes, but you're lawless and you look like Philadelphia, blown out homes and all this kind of craziness. So there's the The skyline's kind of pretty there in Baltimore, right? The Inner Harbor. Does anybody know how good that is? The Inner Harbor, right? You know, you could get some good seafood. Yeah, right. Go to a Ravens game. Look at the architecture. It looks like you're in Philly. All these cities, like, come on, people. Are we going to wake up to that? Why is all this architecture looking the same everywhere? And they want to, you know what the new thing is? I didn't know this. on on Wikipedia, they say that the mud floods, that's the new QAnon conspiracy theory. Can you imagine? They're going to try to pull that crap on mud flooding and architecture. Are you kidding me? These people will call anything a conspiracy. And anything they call a conspiracy right now, that means you should look into it, right? Okay. So I'm just saying, come on, people. The mud floods, that's a conspiracy. Okay, so Austin. Let's talk about Austin. Austin, Texas. So the city of Austin was founded in 1839. So this is isn't this the capital of Texas? How's your blood pressure? I'll take it, right? Oh my God, I'll take it after this blood. It's usually low. That's funny. Greetings, 8 Wind is timeless. Thank you. We're on Austin right now. We've been traveling around. We're just hanging out here. Thanks for still sticking around. This is the weirdo capital. Yeah, they say stay weird, right? That's one of the little things. So Austin is it's they say it's a weird little place there. So this is Austin. You go take a boat and ride around the city. You know, these cities, they have to create this lifestyle so you want to stay. So it's a lot to do. And that's why people don't want to leave these cities, because they rope you in with, you can have anything you want, you could have any kind of itch tickled for you. You could ride boats, and I don't know, you could do that anywhere. But I don't know, something about these cities, these young people, they really feel like awesome being in these cities. And you know, this is the headquarters for Whole Foods. Did anybody know that? Austin, Texas. The headquarters for Whole Foods, or they call it Whole Paycheck. Whole Paycheck. I've spent many a day in Whole Foods, and I just want to tell you, like, I'm a person who loves Whole Foods. I have to admit, I like it only because I know how bad it is in terms of the food supply. And Whole Foods made me feel like at least I'm trying to do better by buying better food. But then Whole Foods let us down. They were caught putting coloring in their salmon to make it look more fresh. And they were caught doing a lot of things that are not trustworthy. And, you know, that really hurts people like me, because I'm already upset at the way that the food supply is. And then if I can't trust Whole Foods, which charges a premium amount of money, then who can I trust? I have to try to find a farmer, right? Or grow your own food. But even Whole Foods has sold us out. And besides that, it's been bought by Amazon. So during the lockdowns and quarantines, Whole Foods and Amazon, they did better than they ever did ever. So they became more wealthy, while small markets and things, they went out of business. So Whole Foods and Amazon have really hurt the people, and they don't care. I just want you to know, they don't care. This is business, okay? And this is Machiavellian gang warfare that they conduct. Even though they seem like they're very altruistic and stuff, they are not, okay? And I'm just going to be clear. They are not. So and the people that go to Whole Foods, I have to say, they're real nasty. You know, when you're in these markets, I don't care where you are, the people inside are so arrogant, and they look, they think they have a chip on their shoulder because they shop at Whole Foods, and they don't they don't pollute the environment because they bring all these bags. And how can you put all your food in these little measly bags? Can you tell me that? They get on my nerves, these people. You know what? Somebody out in California, in Los Angeles, I was at Whole Foods, and this hippie chick almost ran me over in her Prius. Okay. Can you imagine what kind of story would I have told? I got hit by a hippie in a Prius in the parking lot of Whole Foods. Okay. She didn't hit me because I got out of her way, but she was driving that Prius like a bat out of hell. Okay. And I was wondering, what are you in the rush? Why a big rush? This is a parking lot. You're at Whole Foods. You should feel happy that you can afford to go to Whole Foods. Why are you trying to run people down in your Prius? Right? Nasty. Very snobby. They are very snobby. So we got this snobby kind of crowd. And these are the elitists, you know. They make all this food like, you know, so expensive. It's terrible. And again, Austin, the capital, this is where you have the, you know, abortion fight going on. You had a guy down there, he brought the Baphomet and everything, and they were fighting for abortions. Can you imagine? Wow. My goodness, look how bold they are now. And Denver, you know, wow, the Mile High City, right? Denver, you think of Broncos and mountains and things like that. So this is their seal and flag. And you think of Coors, you think of mountains, you think, yeah, a lot of sports, right? This is their skyline, kind of pretty, right? You see the mountains in the back, kind of cute. I'm going to go on this. Oh, well, only thing I think of, what do you think of when you think of Denver? Denver, you lived in Denver for 23 years. I have a friend, Jack. He tried to move to Denver. And he said, like, he's a kind of a, you know, kind of stocky guy, you know, not thin. And he said that the people in Denver were so mean to him because he wasn't skinny, that they have this like really mean culture. If you're not like beautiful and, you know, you don't shop at Whole Foods and you're not, you know, part of the in crowd, you know, a lot of people are making a lot of money off of the legalization of marijuana and things like that. But I heard they're very, they're cliquish and not very nice in that city. And I was surprised that he told me that was his experience. And he moved away from Denver because of that reason. He said the people, he couldn't get close to people. It just was hard, you know? And then you have the Denver airport. There you are, very wicked. If you look into that, it is a whole rabbit hole, okay? And then you think of John Benet Ramsey, you know, that was a very weird thing that happened in our cities, right? Then you have Salt Lake City. Oh boy, I lived there for a minute. 1847 is their seal when they were incorporated. And it's a lot of weirdness there. Okay. A lot of racism. I experienced a lot of racism in Salt Lake City. And I don't care if I step on toes when I say that. I experienced a lot of weird stuff. And, you know, I worked with some Mormon women. They were very cruel. I went through a training for that job that it was like being hazed. Very traumatic and abusive. And so I personally experienced some bad experiences in Salt Lake City. So the Mormons have a lot of explaining to do. I know they're nice people, you know, and all that stuff, but the religion, okay, you gotta explain that, okay, because it's some dark stuff, and I don't care about people's getting all sensitive about their religion and trying to protect. We've been let down by all these religions at this point, okay? Because as I can recall, all these churches were shut down in 2020 when people needed them the most. So they'd rather listen to the government than listen to God, right? They rather be afraid of a virus than afraid for the judgment of God for them shutting the doors of their churches. So I don't care about people getting all sensitive about their religions, because religion has done nothing but harm us, okay? It doesn't equate a real knowledge and relationship with the living God, okay? So let's get over it and let's try to not be sensitive about stuff. But again, Salt Lake City is a very dark place, very, very dark place. They have, when you're riding around on the roads, it's all these billboards that are advertising help for incest. I've never seen anything like that, family, where you see billboards and it's like different services. They're saying if a person is a victim of incest, this is a number to call. And I'm like, okay, I had to ask somebody who was from there, like, why do I see all these billboards? And they were like, oh, it's a big problem here, incest and a lot of really bad things. So yeah, let's start telling the truth. Let's start telling the truth. Okay, because I've never been in a city where I see billboards like that. Have you been in a city where they're advertising help for people that have been victims of incest? Have you ever seen that? That was my first time. 501(c), the churches had to comply or lose their money. More important than us. Yeah, they should have lost their money. In fact, I have to say that there were very few people that went against those mandates and opened their doors regardless, and they didn't care. Just like in the days of the, beginnings of the church age, where people were willing to get killed, be locked up, they were not going to go against God, right? And be afraid of a damn virus. So you don't believe that God is going to help you. You're letting the people know you don't even believe in God and the power of God. You're going to shut your church down for how long? And people were suicidal and all kinds of things. They have let us down, and they're going to be judged really harshly if they don't repent for what they did. They need to repent. And we're going to keep telling the truth, whether they like it or not, okay? The pastor in Florida got arrested. There you are. Whoever that pastor is, can you mention his name? Because these are the people we need to be praying for and thanking God that they went against the government and they had enough courage and they didn't fold down. A lot of pastors are being paid. They're being paid to lie and lead people astray. This is the church of Laodicea that we're witnessing, okay? They're going to be judged so harshly because they are shepherds and they have led the sheep astray. Blood is on their hands because a lot of suicides happened over the last 2 years. So any pastor who is worth their salt right now, you better start repenting if you shut your church down and you're getting paid to push this. You're being paid to tell people to do this to themselves. Are you kidding me? A church, a pastor? I've lost respect for almost all of them, except for you guys have another one in Canada who they are after him. I think they've locked him up. This man is he's a true blue pastor. Okay. So it was very few examples like that. Right. So you have, good skiing, and then you have the very elite place over there in Salt Lake, outside of Salt Lake. It's what is that real elite place out there that they're really bougie. It's a ski town. But anyway, what are you going to do? It's where they hold some of the movies and stuff. So you have Chicago. Oh my God. What are you going to say? Chicago is horrendous. This is one of the worst cities in the realm of the world. It really is. This city, the spirit that is over this city, it might be this gold statue right here. I don't know what this thing is, but it must love blood, okay? Because there's so much bloodshed in Chicago. It's disgusting. And the leadership is going to be judged because it is a lawless city. It may be beautiful and you could have fun and all this stuff, but it is a murder capital. This is a city of Cain. If there was any other, is Chicago. It is deplorable. You could get good pizza though. And anywhere that Oprah has had a studio, look out, baby. It's something bad going on there. Harpo Studios, Oprah Winfrey Show. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, and Gary. I was born in Gary. I'm only telling you this because I love you all, but you should never tell anybody you were born in Gary. But I was born in Gary, Indiana, and it is a pit. Okay. So here's the skyline. This one's impressive. Okay. Chicago. You got water. You got Lake Michigan. You got the polar vortex. Yeah. Sears Tower and all that stuff. You got a lot of crime lords. And this is the original, like, gangster city, right? Gangstery. Gary is an armpit. It is the armpit, right? Absolutely, the armpit of America. There you go. And you had a strange fire in Chicago too. Real weird fires in the 1800s, right? I wonder why. Then you had the exhibition. That's where you see that scary doggone statue. That was part of the exhibition. So the picture you see down there, all of this was in Chicago. One of the buildings became the science and industry, but they got rid of a lot of the other buildings, right? Remember? We won't get into that, but yeah, it's a conspiracy. That's all. Nothing to see here. Oh, I already went there, right? Yeah, and then you have the pier and everybody wants to live, all the beautiful people want to live down there. They've gentrified it. It's all expensive. Then you have poverty, massive poverty, right? Got all your bread and circus, you can imagine. Now we're off to Nashville. So you got Nashville. You have a Coliseum thing going on in Nashville. So you have all this old architecture that looks like it's from where? Rome, Greece, anywhere. All the same. Then you have this creepy statue right here. Look at that. That's in Nashville. Nashville, what's going on? You got some explaining to do. What kind of statue is this? With the reptile. Why do you have a big goddess in Nashville? Nash Vegas? Is that what they call it? I know a lot of people want to move to Nashville. They're fleeing Los Angeles and they want to be like country singers, right? Isn't that the country music place? That's where you go to make it in the country music. So here's their skyline. It's okay. I don't know. Philly probably has a better one. And why do we even do that? Compare them, right? This is another city, all the same markings. You got Vanderbilt University. They're proud of those kind of things. The Vanderbilt family, got all these families. So they have a big stake in Nashville. Here's some of the old architecture of Nashville. Anybody have any words on Nashville? Tell us a little bit about the personality of that city, other than like what our impressions are that you guys like country music. This is where you go to make it in the music industry. Anderson Cooper's people. Right? Exactly. It's a country music full of Satanists. Yeah, we thought all these years, Rose, we thought country music was the music of the patriots, it was clean and innocent, but it's all been infiltrated, hasn't it? It's not innocent, is it? I looked at some of those country music awards. I didn't see any difference from them and, the other ones, Little Kim and all of them. They're just all the same now. So here's their, their skyline's pretty. They want to make the cities appeal. They want to draw the children, the young people. That's why a lot of towns have what they call brain drain, because the young people want to live in these cities because they feel bored in the smaller towns. But I have a feeling that's going to change. I don't know. I just get this feeling that small towns won't be so boring, in the future. And then we have Memphis, okay? Memphis. Did you all know that there was a pyramid in Memphis? Because I didn't know this, family. Anybody familiar with Memphis? Rose says yes, many drugs and sex deviancy. So yeah, so they're no different, huh? Wow. Oh, good night, Mickey. That's okay. You could catch a live stream. I'm going to go through all these slides. Whoever can hang, stay up with me if you want. It's the next day. Who's still here? You still here? What you doing? What you doing? We're getting through the city. So Memphis. Yeah, look at that, everybody. I did not know that there was a pyramid in Memphis. What is that about? Can someone tell me why Memphis has a pyramid? Jack, you didn't know either? That's why I wanted to do this like little, little trip through the cities of the Americas. So why do they have a freaking pyramid? What is that about? Anybody? Because Jack didn't know. I didn't know. Anybody else didn't know? Yeah, they're doing things like that. We didn't know this thing. There is a whole Egyptian thing in Tennessee. Who knew, Sean? Isn't that news? I was a little shocked. Look at that pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. What is going on? That's what I want to know. You didn't know, Bernadette? Cece said, I love pyramids. All right, that's okay. A pyramid is a power structure. You didn't know, Emily? Yeah, sounds like a few of us didn't know. The Great America, that's what it's called. Have you ever seen it, Karen? It in our face, right? In our face. You didn't know either, Kim? Okay, so I'm not, hey, I thought I was just really out of the loop here. You didn't know? It's a lot of us. I know, Sean, I'm just saying. What's inside there? It looks like a parking lot. It looks like you go and get your ticket. Don't they look like little booths or something? I don't know. So it might be an office building. I don't know. It's probably like some kind of office building and they do something real boring in there. Like what? And the real thing is going on in the basement of the place. It's probably like, what can you imagine? It's like a call center or something. It's like where you call and do something real like nondescript, but the real goings on are either in the point or in the downstairs, right? It's a tomb. Is it a tomb? That's a weird looking tomb, man. That's real strange. So, you got the scene in Memphis, the blues, and everybody likes doing all these little tourist things. But, honestly, I'm at the point now, I'm over it, everybody. I don't want to do any of this crap anymore. I am so over it. It feels so empty anyway when you do all these things that everybody likes to tell you, tourist stuff. You got to go here and you got to have a corn dog with mashed potatoes and what? Cheese and I don't know, dipped in dough and fried with a pickle. It's like, what more do we need? We have done it all. We've jumped the shark in this culture. What else are you going to do to entertain yourself here? Because I think we pretty much, we're kind of tired of this entertainment, bread and circus all the time, right? Is Beale Street. Yeah. It just, I don't know. I'm not knocking it for you, but I'm over all this crap. I'm tired of this culture. It's sickening to me. But you have fun. I'm not knocking it if you like it, but I don't like it anymore. So, you got the ships, the river boats and all this, a lot of tourist stuff, you got the Danny Thomas. What is that all about? Like a hospital for children? What's going on? Is that good, everybody? Tell me, do they do a lot of good work there? What's going on with that hospital? And then, you have these monuments in this country. It's a sick culture where we want to remember where people were assassinated, right? People go and take pictures like tourists. You see the tourists down here? They're taking a picture of the hotel that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Oh, it's Black History Month, everybody, by the way. It's Black History Month. Such a joke. So yeah, so here we are with the hotel. They even have cars from that era parked out here. It's a big tourist trap, and it's a very dark, sinister. I mean, why? Why would this hotel should be torn down, if anything? But these are ritual murders, and they are deriving something from them because it is a sick thing to, yeah, it can't be good, right? Sick, right? Bad vibes. So, I'm just saying, I'm looking at these cities and I'm looking at this culture now, and a lot of it really disgusts me. And this is one of the things that I don't understand anymore about our culture. And what I'm saying, how are we going to get away from this sickness? So, we're going to head over to St. Louis now. This is their flag and seal. And they had an exhibition too. Look at the architecture that got torn down. Real weird stuff. 1800s, everybody, if you want to look into it. This is one of the cities that also had an exhibition. Okay. Jernesia says it's just to keep our PTS going. It is. So, if you want to opt out of participating in these things, don't feel bad. If you don't want to acknowledge that event that happens every September, if you don't want to acknowledge that anymore, you don't want to turn on the television and see people falling out of towers, and you don't want to see a tower absolutely demolishing, just crumbling in its own footprint, and you don't want to be told that airplanes did it, don't participate anymore. Because what Jernesia said, this is a trauma, mass trauma ritual, and they keep it going every year, every anniversary. That's very sick to have anniversaries for things like that. So I'm just letting you know, don't feel bad if you want to opt out. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to do anything on that day. You want to try to do something normal and get away from these trauma rituals. Go ahead and do it for your mental health, because this is a sick society. It's emotional abuse. Yes, it is. And it's very sick. And we've got to get this sickness away. We got to heal it. It's like cancer. It's like a metastatic cancer. So what are we going to do in these cities to get rid of this metastatic cancer? What type of treatment would you give it? Well, how do you do it? Sean says mental illness is a trend now. That's where we are. Yes, it's a trend now. Trauma bonding. That's what it is. They feed off of fear and trauma. That's right. Yes, unplug from the programming. That's right. They want to pick the scab and inflict the pain over and over. And they have sad stories. They'll pull out the people that were in, the family members. And it's a sick society. And I'm going to call it what it is. So here's some architecture, St. Louis. And St. Louis is known for its arch, or whatever you call it, the arch, right? Gateway to the west. Here's some interior architecture, And I don't know who this chick is. I think she's a leader of some sort, but you have your bread and circus. You can see the arch in the background. Got to have your bread and circus in these cities, right? Got to keep people entertained, right? And numbed. So let's head on to Los Angeles, the city of fallen angels. So incorporated 1781, Los Angeles. What can we say about LA? It's a beautiful skyline. I'll give it that. Yeah, beautiful with the mountains in the background. Okay, yeah. You got Hollywood. Look at the view. Hollywood. Oh, everybody wants to go. That's where dreams are made, right? Dreams and pornography. So this is the pornography capital of the world, Los Angeles. How do you feel about that? Who's going to clean that up? Are we going to vote somebody in who's going to finally say, pornography kills the spirit. It's degrading to women and men and anybody who watches it. Children are now watching pornography because it's so accessible. Yeah, let's stop doing that. Who's going to do that? Who's going to stop the pornography industry if we just take that right alone? Because guess what? Our country exports pornography to the world. So America, this America, the United States of the Americas, is the largest producer and exporter of pornography. So that's part of that's stacked up against us. Okay. So, how are we going to clean that up, people? I'm asking. I want us to know, because I don't want us to be delusional about the problems that we have in this country and in the cities of this nation. These cities are the cities of Cain and his children. So you have smog that sits in the basin of that city. You have the marine fog that comes in. You've got smog from the cars and from the way that the city is positioned. Some people can't even breathe in the city because of the air quality. But people put up with it because it's LA, baby. Everybody wants to live in LA, right? Look at that. That's where they ship people. They ship them to LA, all the homeless and people with mental illness, and this is such a slap in the face. I hope this isn't real, because this is disrespectful. Can somebody tell me if somebody really did this? Is this some kind of joke where they made designer tents for people on Skid Row? And then to say Skid Rodeo Drive, the street where luxury and poverty meet. I hope this is a joke, but when I came across this picture, I was like, this is not good. This is really sick. And then, Las Vegas, what are you going to do? This is a city that calls itself Sin City. This is where people think they have a lot of fun. I've never liked Las Vegas. I've only pretended to like it. I've never liked it. I've gone. I have cousins that live there, and all they do is gamble. They love to gamble. This is their whole life, is gambling. They stay in the casinos. I never liked the feeling of Las Vegas. It feels bad. It feels dark. So anytime I've ever been there, it's been for meetings and things like that, but I don't like this city. I don't. So this is where gambling happens, right? This is, the Strip. This is where, who was shot? Which rapper was killed in Las Vegas? Wasn't that Tupac? Wasn't he executed there in Las Vegas? So you got a lot of things. We had something else happen in Las Vegas, right? Another concert where there was something that went off, right? It's a whole other thing, right? So look at that. When I was there in Vegas the last time, they had the security guards were hounding us. Like if we were just sipping on a drink, they wanted you to put your mask back on. They were hollering at you to put your mask on. These are all the people all around the casinos as security. Now, this is the city where they tell you to let go of your inhibitions. You could marry somebody you just met a minute ago, and that's all fun and cute. But you got to be afraid of a virus, right? This is the city where people commit sin and it's all fun, but yet they were scared of that virus and they were terrified. They were all in the casinos en masse. They look so stupid, okay? So stupid. They were in their little dresses, like their little cocktail dresses with masks on, looking like goobers, okay? Goobers, yes, somebody put that on the statue. I was like, you know what? I'm done. This society is so stupid. It is so, and they love their pyramid and their Egyptian crap, and it's so cheesy looking. It's so cheap. It looks like it was made in China. It's so cheap. I hate it. It's disgusting. That's right. I don't like it. Throw it away. And this is where people have residencies. This is where Brittany had a residency called Domination. Look at what they've done to that woman. Horrible. And they sat by and let that happen. And yet Janet Jackson had a residency called Metamorphosis. You're nobody until you have a residency, or either you're a has-been and that's when they give you a residency. What the heck is up with the residencies? So you see Janet down there, she's a dominatrix, This is something in the culture that they want women to think this is nice, She's an older woman and she's behaving like a floozy. I said it, Janet. We might have been born in Gary, Indiana, but I'm going to say you're acting like a floozy, okay? I don't like it, Janet. But that's what she has to do. She's made a contract to somebody, and you don't get days off there. There's no vacations when you make your contracts to have fame. Look at that. This is a woman who should be retired, enjoying her baby she had in her old age, but she's being a dominatrix on stage in Vegas. That's sad. Very sad. So this is Vegas, everybody. You want to defend Vegas? Tell me the redeeming qualities in Vegas. If I have offended your city, just tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me some of the good things that your city gives to humanity. If your city is doing great things for the world and for humanity, and it's doing redeeming things, I want you to share it with us. We need to know. I would like to be wrong, okay? And I will apologize if you can tell me how your city is good, okay? So there you go. You got the top hats, the wizards and all the warlocks and everything. So you got San Francisco. Look at that. They got a statue of Gilgamesh in San Francisco. Who knew? Gilgamesh, the Babylonian, or what is he, Assyrian, or where's he's from? One of those ancient cities. So you got Gilgamesh as a statue in wow, look at that. So San Francisco had a weird fire too. Wonder what that was about. Look at this. Oh my. If I want you all to read the sign there. If that isn't the most jumping over the shark irony right there, can somebody tell me, how is this going to be fixed? Is anybody even talking about this who has any power of the pen, power of whatever? How are we going to fix this right here? It says empowering manufacturers, creating jobs, and transforming our city. And homeless people are encamped all around. And they have, look, San Francisco appears to be so organized with their homelessness. They draw squares with numbers so you can have an address, I guess, for your tent. So I guess the mailman delivers mail to these squares. What's this about? I bet they're taxing them, right? These are probably taxable squares, because you know how California is with taxing people. Can you imagine? Look at this picture. This is a shameful thing, America. This is on our watch. And when we go to sleep at night, and we're okay with this, how is this a reflection of a culture that is advancing? That's my question. How is this okay? How are we going to clean this up? Look at the irony. This is a homeless encampment looking at a government building. Can somebody make this make sense? What are we going to do about this? Isn't it? One take is very shameful. This is not good, America. We have no right to judge another nation. We have no right to bring any judgment on any nation for what we are doing to our own people. This is horrible. This is America today, and it's getting worse. Nobody's fixing this. Nobody's addressing it hardly from the real power seats. I mean, you have people, you have individuals who are trying to address this. There was a guy who was trying to make affordable housing, and they shut him down. They shut him down. They make it hard for people who want to help the homeless. Look at all the malls that are going out of business. You have a lot of malls that are dead space, right? So we have people living outside in tents. And we are the United States of America. You know what? So let's head to Seattle, okay? Because I'm getting hot and mad. Okay, so Seattle incorporated 1869. What can you say about Seattle? It says the city of goodwill. Oh my God, let me stop laughing so I can drink this water. Thanks for hanging out with me. This is a long one, but we're going through the cities, okay? We're going through them. Need to do it. So this is a, skyline is beautiful. You see the mountains. Beautiful city, right? You got the public market. You got bread and circus. You could get dizzy and mesmerized by the big old Ferris wheel. Look at how they have to incentivize you to stay in these crappy cities. You get all this pleasure and leisure. You got to always keep yourself entertained with all these games and things. When are we going to get away from all of these games and get with something real, something tangible? This is really a fakeness that we have in this culture. We have our bread and circuses. Look how big and palatial these stadiums are. These are like modern day temples, aren't they? Look at the state of the art. Wow. How much money must they bring in? It's really important to them, isn't it? And these are the people who told you that you were racist. All these sports teams, they made you feel bad if you were a white person, where the white people are the ones that freaking buy the tickets and go to these stupid games. But you were making them feel bad, right? NFL, you were bowing down, kneeling down, Black Lives Matter. And you lost all those ticket sales, right? Making the white people feel bad. That was your main demographic, okay? Stupid, dumb goobers. So they're losing, hemorrhaging money. You guys should stop even watching those goobers. You shouldn't even watch the stuff that's coming up on, when is the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl, where they're going to do their ritual. I hear they have all the old rappers that are going to be the entertainment because they can't pull any A-list entertainment right now. Why? Why are they pulling like back from some old has-been time, right? I don't care. I'm going to say it. It's kind of like weird. So, they're about to have their big ritual. It's disgusting and satanic and dark. They're going to make tons of money. They're going to traffic people. They're going to do all kinds of lawless things. And this is the home of Starbucks. Did you know this is the headquarters of Starbucks? Yeah, this is where we like to spend our money. We feel real good when we're in Starbucks getting our pumpkin lattes, wearing our Ugg boots, right? Look at that. Starbucks, where you could spend all your paycheck too, right? What is it about Starbucks? They got us like hooked on this stuff, right? Hooked on it. Starbucks. And what does Starbucks do? These companies, they're like gangs, right? They become really powerful, and then they begin to set policies, and then they have so much power they can absolutely dictate culture to us. So they are in cahoots with all of the politicians and all of the other people, right? They are against all of us. And they have a mermaid or whatever. They said that's a siren. Does anybody know the difference between mermaids and sirens? Because I think someone was trying to explain to me that the sirens are really dangerous. They're like deadly. Mermaids are whatever. I'm going to talk about the marine kingdom very soon. Okay. I'm going to be talking about that soon. But yeah, the Starbucks is like horrible in terms of it's just so much sugar and it's hardly any coffee. I mean, this is all like whipped cream and caramel. Probably everything has high fructose corn syrup. And then, they push agendas. Whereas you see in China, they had a Starbucks where they were pushing the agendas they push here. They get involved in social issues. And that's a weird thing for corporations to get involved in. And so we could see how our country, how they pretty much like consolidated a lot of power against the people because these corporations are in cahoots against the people. Okay. So I haven't gone to Starbucks to drink one of their syrupy drinks in probably 2 years. I haven't been there. I think I don't miss it either. I was addicted to going to Starbucks when I worked as a nurse, and a lot of nurses, they drink like the venti tenties. I don't even know how to speak Starbucks. What is the largest one? The venti, goopy, whatever. And nurses, by the way, they got problems with their weight. Okay, a lot of nurses, they drink these sugary drinks and they drink them all day long. And you just wonder, we have to expose them because this is terrible what they've done to us. So Portland, we're getting on around to Portland. 1851, that's their flag, that's their seal. Looks like a goddess, doesn't it? She has a star over her head. So this is the skyline of Portland. Kind of pretty. I like the mountains. That's probably why I like some of these cities, because the mountains are beautiful. It's more the naturalness that I like, not so much this city. I'm over these cities. The buildings are just so blah. They're stupid. So you have a lot of, that's what I'm saying. Like these cities, they're like, this is where the hipsters live. These people think they're so above us and elite. They have all these little theaters everywhere because you have to keep the people numbed with entertainment, bread and circus. So you got to go to all these little art movies and you get to talk about artsy things and feel like you're really, you're just such an intellect. Portland is full of crazy people. Yeah, Portland is as far left as you can go. So far left. Go right into the water. So, they have a lot of weird like things that become really popular. So in Portland, you could go to Voodoo Donut. Doesn't that sound like something redeeming to do? I mean, even you think about just how cynical a society becomes when you can name a business Voodoo Donuts and it becomes really popular. And, people go and they want to be seen eating a Voodoo donut, right? Something with bacon on it and cereal. Like this is the culture we're in. Okay. It is like this very obscene culture where we create food. Now we're so bored. We have to combine. You could just watch the Food Channel. There's a guy who does he goes around different fairs, state fairs, and he eats the food and it's unbelievable what they mix together. This is a horrible culture, everybody. Look at that. They will put bacon on a freaking donut. I have seen them take 2 Krispy Kreme donuts and put a burger in it, okay? It's over when you are eating a Krispy Kreme hamburger. You have given up on your life. You need to be delivered when you're eating donut sandwiches, donut burgers, okay? Disgusting. But that's American culture, and that's what we are told It's great. It's fun. Why are you being such a prude, Jennifer? Why are you being so hard on it? It's because it doesn't have a stopping point. It keeps going. It's progressive. We have voodoo donuts today, and tomorrow you're going to have Satan donuts. They're just going to, they don't have any problem. It's probably a Satan donuts out there now, right, Alex? Tell me. Is there a Satan donuts? I bet it is, Jim. I bet they already have one. And you could have a pitchfork, red donut. What, you could have hell donuts. What is it? Satan shoes. What's left, right? What's left? Is there no boundaries? We jumped the freaking shark. Alex said they already have a Satan donut. There you are. There you are. I mean, I didn't even have to know it. I could just guess. Okay, one take. They got a Baphomet donut too. There you go. Portlandia. Portlandia. What are you going to do? Yeah, we got devil's food. That's how they kind of got us softened up to the idea. We got devil's eggs. I will tear a deviled egg up, though. I'm going to tell you. You got to have to pray for me, but I will. And then you got devil's food cake. They just love the devil in this country. They love the devil. They got a TV show called Satan or Lucifer, don't they? Donuts or Satan. Who's ever had... I want somebody to admit that they've had a voodoo donut, that they've eaten one of these donuts. I want a Jesus donut. Oh my God, a Jesus donut. Oh my God. What are we going to do, family? So, I didn't know that Adidas was headquartered there in Portland. Did you guys know that? My Adidas. Then you have skate parks. You got to have skate. You got to keep these people entertained because, oh my God, the young people get bored so fast. You got to keep them from being bored. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you got my Adidas. Who remembers that rap? Wasn't that Run DMC, my Adidas? Y'all are still hanging with me. This is a long one. This is like we're gaming or something, right? We're hanging out, you late owls. So you got the skate park, you got to keep the kids skating. You got George Floyd. They got a George Floyd memorial. George, and then they burned that freaking city down. Is that where they had the Chad? Is that where they formed their own city called Chaz, where they were raping and killing people? And they went into the mayor's the lobby to his apartment building, and they tried to beat the stew out of that man. He thought that he was a cool guy with these people. They turned on his goober dummy self because he is the enemy to them as well. They try to make a deal with these young people that they have pretty much programmed to be this way. And then it backfired on him, right? That was Seattle. Chaz, thank you. Tamara said Chaz was in Seattle. Seattle and Portland are like the same to me. Chaz was Chaz. Oh my God. And the leader of Chaz was a black guy, wasn't he? So here you go. You got Seattle. No, we're in Portland. We're in Portland now, Portlandia. So you got homeless people burning up the tents. I mean, like, what the heck is going on? How are you going to fix this, Portlandia? And, you see these kind of things. It's so degrading and sad that humanity has been brought to this place. You see people pushing carts around. It's really sad what has happened, and this is now a normal sight all around these cities. These are the cities. They have a lot of explaining to do. Look at that. They're organized too. They have them all spaced out. Look at that. And don't you think that's ironic that they have a homeless encampment and then the building in the back says carpenters? I said, you know what? These people, is this a sick joke or something? Hippie gone bad. Yes, this is the this is the end point of that. Yep, there you go. So this is Portlandia. So let's head to New Orleans. There we go. The city of voodoo. I'm sure voodoo donuts, right? So they have a Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Look at how they gave the Superdome a whole, look at that overhaul. It wasn't that long ago where the Superdome was the site of death and complete disintegration of society, was the Superdome. Remember when they had Hurricane Katrina, and the people tried to camp out there? And see, that goes to show you about the cities. When something happens and the people, a city causes you to be dependent on the government. So if something pops off, they're waiting for the federal government to come. They're waiting for the local, state, and municipal people to come and help them. These people needed boats. If it weren't for the good people that were preppers that knew that floods come in those areas, they have boats. They were saving the people. The people were helping the people, not the government. Okay. So this is a great example for us never to forget that the cities make us dependent on them. And this is not a good thing, because mankind should not be dependent on a government. When mankind learns to be self-sufficient, these are the things that will not affect, you can work with your neighbors, okay? And the government will let you down every single time. There's not one example that the government can be graded on doing something right. If I'm wrong, let me know. Drop it tell me some good things that the government has done and got it right. It's not very many. But the Hurricane Katrina was a good example of fumbling. And look at that. I would have thought they tore that thing down. So you have the French Quarter, and you have nothing but debauchery, drunken debauchery. Horrible city. Bad, bad, bad energy. And there you go. When it flooded or whatever happened, there are a lot of theories, right? So then let's go to Moscow. This is the last city we're going to cover. This is the bonus international city. Okay, so Moscow. I want to cover Moscow because a lot of times, when we get into these kind of dust-ups with another country, we pretty much forget that the people that live in these other nations and cities and things like that, we forget that these are humans just like us. They just want to live a life. They want to be left alone. They want to raise their families. They don't want people telling them what to think and how to live, right? So as we are going into these conflicts with other nations that Brandon is getting us involved in some things, and we're not going to agree with what he's doing when it comes to messing with Russia and China. Gog and Magog are making their pact as we speak. Those two powerful nations. They are, yes, extra credit. This one is extra credit. You want to stick around for extra Russia, Russia, Russia. This is Russia, Russia, Russia. So yeah, so let's look at Russia, because everybody thinks, what do they think? Russians are some kind of like aliens or something? They're human beings, okay? They don't want their cities bombed out and whatever else going on, right? But it's a city, no doubt. This is a city. So let's look at the city of Moscow. This is their mayor. I don't know what his name is. I think it's Sergey or something, but I wouldn't mess with this dude. He looks like he could have you poisoned or something, right? I don't know. He's like scary looking. What do you think? Does he look like a nice guy? I don't know. But that's their coat of arms, okay? Moscow. Moscow. Okay, so here you just landed. We just landed in Moscow. We're waiting for Sergey to pick us up, or Nikolai, or who else? We're waiting for not Vladimir. No, Vladimir, we got Uber. You don't have to pick us up, okay? Vladimir, we're cool. We got Sergey. Sergey is picking us up, and who else? Natalia, Svetlana. Svetlana is picking us up from the airport, and we're going to go on a little tour of Moscow. So who would have thought? It looks like any other city in the world realm, doesn't it? Look at that. Kind of normal looking, right? As cities are. Oh, wow. Look at that. You got the mix of the old and the new. Look at that. Look at that. Svetlana is our Uber driver. Yes, Svetlana is our Uber driver, right? We don't want Vladimir to pick us up. No Vladimir. And so, yeah, so, they got the little cars, just like any city here in Americas, in the USA of the Americas. You could rent those cars for the day. Look at their train stations, their airport. People are taking the bus, trying to work, trying to have a life just like they do anywhere else. And I want us to just look at them as human beings, okay? And not so much about what their leaders are doing. And I mean, of course, we want to take accountability. I'm sure they're not in agreement with a lot of things that are being done. Let me tell you, this is being done on our watch, and the whole world is in a state of flux, like I said, and the people are not happy. And we realize that bad things are happening in our name with our tax money. They're going to wars, and they're doing all kinds of crime all over the world. Our nations are doing this, and there's a lot of crime in the cities and things like that. But I don't know what the social problems are here in Moscow, because I didn't see a lot of the stuff I see here. Okay. Things look pretty clean, and look at that, very high tech. A lot of trains. It looks like you could get around pretty well, very easily through Moscow. Has anybody been? Can they tell us what it's like? What's the food like? The whole world is in a psyop. Actually, yep. You said looks better than US. Beautiful architecture, right? So, here's Moscow. And then you have the old, this is very just beautiful, right? And, they have their bread and circuses just like us, the theaters, this is where all the fancy people go to see operas and things. Then they have their stadiums all over. So they have their sports, and then they have up there, they even have amusement parks, So I just wanted to show this just to show that it's so many similarities, They have amusement parks. They do all these kind of things. They take buses every day going to work and all about. It does look beautiful and clean, right? Kev said you went to Ukraine. It was cool in Kiev. Nice. Nice people. Oh, that's nice. Very nice that you experienced that. And this architecture, it's the stuff of, I don't know, fantasy. It's amazing. I've always liked looking at this when I was a little girl. In fact, I received a gift as a kid. I had Russian caretakers when I lived in Havana, and they gave me a really big children's book, and it had all this architecture and gold in it. And my mom doesn't know where it is. It got lost in my grandmother's house, and I feel so bad because it was in Russian, and I would look at that book all the time. But whenever I see this type of architecture, I think about my Russian caretakers and just those books and things. So this is like it looks like a shopping center. And, it looks like any shopping center you would see here in, our nation, like any city here. You could see the facades that, they all look alike, and it looks like Victoria's Secrets is probably over there, right? You could get Auntie Anne's pretzels or something, right? Just looks like any city. Here's the freeway. You're driving by all this amazing architecture, but still, nonetheless, they're just trying to live their lives. They're doing similar things, just trying to get by and stay out of the way of the freaking cabal. I mean, we are all just tired of this huge psyop, like Karen said. So the people of the world are tired of this stuff all over. And I just want us to just realize that that's why we're coming together against these kind of things. And they look at these apartment buildings. This looks like, looks like New York, right? And then you have more stadiums and things, and that weird needle looking thing that they have. I don't know what that is. Here's an aerial view of Moscow. Pretty big city, right? And I just want to leave on this note here. I wanted to just say that some of the things that are happening that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for is that the next thing, that's happening, like, I don't want us to go to sleep. Whatever happens, if they start relaxing these mandates and they start, everything's back to normal. For me, I'm going to tell you how I feel about that, because I understand that they're shifting their narratives. Like, they're going to try to do the climate change. They're trying to do some weird things when it comes to the animal kingdom. And so I want us to be really mindful that they're shifting up. This almost seems like it was a test to see how much they can get control, how quickly they can go back to the drawing boards and pretty much like try some, I don't know what they're up to, but I'm just saying that I'm not going to let my guard down if everybody starts coming out without mask and they start trying to act like things are normal. I'm not trying to be a doomer, but I'm going to tell you, these people, in my opinion, okay, they have harmed our world to a degree that it's like if I was married to a narcissist and they were beating my butt, and then the next minute they want to give me chocolates and flowers. No, it doesn't work like that. You just beat me up, black and blue. I'm not going to take your flowers and your candy and your apologies, right? I want justice. And what they've done to the children in the mass, look at Stacey Abrams with her disgusting self. I'm about to get angry again. Her to take a picture with those children in mass. She is horrible. And she needs to never be seen again. How dare her? And she has the audacity to want to show her ugly face in public after that. And she's going to try to spin a story. And she'll have supporters too. That's how sick our culture is. They would stand by and excuse her. So I'm not going to let my guard down with these people, because even in my own family, where you would think that some of the like I have this evil aunt, and she's doubling down on her stupidity. You would think that they would wake up and see, look at how the psyop is falling apart. Maybe I'll try to be humble. No, they're not humble. This aunt is not humble. She's still arrogant. She's doubling down on her arrogance. So my thing is, like, have some of them learned their lesson about what happened? They got played. We were trying to say that this didn't seem right, and they were persecuting us and our families and stuff, and all of the things they've done to destroy lives. I haven't worked as a nurse in 2 years. I haven't worked in my profession. No, I'm not going to let my guard down. And I'm not going to fall for anything other than I want to see things on the level of Nuremberg 2.0. That's going to be when I let my guard down. When I got to see it, okay? I got to see Hillary Clinton, all these people that have done things in Haiti and Epstein people, all that crew. I want to see them go and get justice. If they're not going to get justice and we're not going to hear and see about it, then I don't want to hear about it then. Okay? I'm not going to let my guard down. I know God is going to do it because God is about to shake this thing up. Okay? And that's the one I'm relying on because they're not getting away from that. They're not. But man has let us down. Man has let us down in terms of what I can see. So they have a lot of things. If they're going to try to repent for what they've done, the mental health crisis that we have going on, we don't have enough mental health crisis workers to even help these people. They created this crisis. They've ruined business. How are they going to clean that up and just say, oh, no more masks and we're not going to make you do this stuff, but you still have to take tests? Why are they still going to do these tests then? They're just going into their other phase and they're trying to do something with this environmental thing with the animals. And I don't like that. So yes, we demand justice. And I'm not going to take anything less. I'm just not letting my guard down. So I want us to be very mindful about these things that are going on. Don't fall asleep. Don't be blue pilled. And this is as the days of Noah, because a lot of times people can maybe get back to some sense of normal, but just know, I just showed you picture after picture of homelessness. And until we fix the homelessness problem and all the drugs that are coming in, flooding in, all these social problems, you tell me who has an answer for that. And I need to hear about it if you think that it's going to go to something fabulous, okay? Because I can only trust God to clean this up, okay? This is big. Our problems are massive, and we can't be delusional, put our head in the sand and try to act like it's not happening, because all those people living on the streets is proof. That's proof that something is very wrong. Okay? So, as the days of Noah, be prepared. Okay? And I will continue talking about this. I know it's not comfortable, not happy stuff, but it is happy for those that trust Abba Father, for those that are expatriates of Cain's cities, and we are repatriating to Abba Father. Okay? So I just want to say that because it is good. We got to get past this. Okay? So we got to see some things happen, but we got to get past this. And we're never going back to pre-2020. So don't be delusional and think you don't even want to go back to 2020 before 2020. With all of the problems that we see going on in these cities, how are we going back to something? How are we going to clean that stuff up? I still ask that. So I just, I want to thank you for hanging out. We've been hanging out a long time, but as I say all the time, if you would like to tip your hostess, that is how you do it. Okay. And I'll be back soon. We'll talk more. This was we went through the cities, and let's see where we go with our next class. This was a long class. You get extra credit for attending. And I love you all. I thank you. And I will see you soon, okay? Very soon.